Hello everybody and welcome back to the Daramgar cooking show. It's been a while. It might have been like a month. We've been on quite a hiatus. And everybody, I have to say, it is good to see each and every single one of you with me. It is good to see all of you. I missed you guys so much today. Also, one of my light bulbs are flickering, so please ignore that if you see that throughout today. But that's okay. Everybody, welcome on in. Welcome to the cooking show. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you. We are back. We have been on a hiatus, and as you may notice, I am in a new kitchen to some of you and to a lot of you. We're back in the old kitchen. I have moved back in with my mother, and this is the childhood kitchen that I grew up with. So we're back. We're back, and we're better than ever. Also, guys, let me know if the camera is a little bit too dark. Let me know how stuff is going, because this is the first time I'm doing a stream back to the old setup. So, everybody, it is amazing to have all of you. Thank you so much for all of the gifted subs that we opened off with. Welcome on in, Dr. Slowbro. Hello to Audio Murphy. Hello to Brundle. Hello to Shy Chica. Hello to Annie. Hello to Moonha. Hello to Tarina Chess. Hello to Trashcan Cat Mom. Of course, it is lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. So, it could be a little bit brighter. Is that true? If it could be a little bit brighter, well, there's a few things that we could do. We could put more light onto my face as a nice little example. That is always one option. And the other thing is that we can always up the ISO slightly. But we're not going to do too much fiddling around today. We'll just do all the different things that we need to. I'm really excited about today's show. It's good to have all of you again with me. So, everybody, first things first, before we get into the contents of today, let's do a little update onto the future of the Daramgar cooking show and the future of what we're doing here. Previously, what we were doing was the following. We were streaming every Wednesday, every single Friday, and every single Sunday, okay, 3 times a week. Now, that was unfortunately unsustainable for me. The reason why I originally picked that as a schedule is because I wanted to become Twitch partner, and to become Twitch partner, you needed to hit a certain amount of viewership and a certain amount of hours. At some point, I feel like I have plateaued in the quality of my cooking streams. And so in order to go back and to really make it better, I have decided to shift the goalposts. I'm no longer going to be pursuing Twitch partner as a status. And what does that mean? We're going to be going down from 3 streams a week to just 1. We're just going to be going live every single Sunday at 5 p.m. EST. If something changes, if we're going to do a different date, guys, let me know. Whichever date works the best for all of you guys. I'll try to accommodate the majority of people the best that I can. But indefinitely, the stream is going to be 1 time a week at 5 p.m. EST, because I no longer want to hit Twitch partner. And instead, I want to focus on really improving the quality of the show. In the fall, in the autumn of 2025, I would ideally like to return to school. I would like to go to film school, specifically for production, because I would like to assemble a team of people. I would like to get a team of people, and I would like to really improve the quality of this. And I would like to be doing both live content as well as recorded content. So, what does that mean in the meantime? From now until then, we're going to be doing it 1 time a week. The cooking show is not going anywhere. It's going to be a little bit less, but if you guys would like to keep up with me in the meantime, you can always join the Discord, !Discord for the link. We have a lovely community of people, and my goal is going to be to continue to educate, to continue to teach, and run the best cooking show I can. Okay, so that's the direction. Those are the changes that we've made. I'm sorry that we're going to be streaming less and I'll be seeing you guys less, but I think ultimately it's better for me, and it's going to be better for the quality of the product that we're making. Okay, so there's that. Next, as well, guys, if you'd like to support the Patreon, !Patreon in the chat. But enough of that. Let's talk about what we're doing today. Everybody, today if you're watching this live, it is Sunday, it is November 24th. This is, in the United States, the weekend before Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, because I know I have a lot of European watchers, is a pretty big deal in the US. I don't personally really celebrate it like that anymore. I kind of used to with my family growing up a little bit. And so, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we're going to be doing a dish that features turkey. And it's going to feature a couple of spices. It's going to have a bit of a Thanksgiving idea to it, but it's not going to be really any Thanksgiving dishes. So, the dish that I'm making today, my friends, it is somewhere in between like a butternut squash soup and somewhere in between a mole. For those of you guys that are not familiar, a mole is this really delicious Mexican dish. It's made out of seeds, it's made out of nuts, it's made out of chilies and loads of spices, and it's all blended down. And it's not a stew, it's not a sauce, it's not a soup. Mole is its own thing. And typically you would serve mole with maybe, let's say, a little bit of shredded chicken in it or something. My idea for today, my friends, is I'm going to be doing something that is vaguely inspired by a curry, something vaguely inspired by a Mexican mole, and we're going to be doing almost like a butternut squash soup with a lot of those different flavors today. And in the the middle of it is going to be a lovely pile of shredded up turkey. And alongside it, my friends, we're going to be making some homemade corn tortillas. And I'll be walking you through that process. I'll be showing you how to do everything. But in the meantime, my friends, let's talk about some of the stuff I'm using up for today. So, I have 2 lovely turkey legs right here, both the drum and the thigh, okay? And the reason why I'm choosing turkey legs is the following. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own turkey stock, how to make your own turkey broth, okay? And the reason why we use the legs is because of how much collagen they have. They have all those lovely bones, they have all that lovely connective tissue. Turkey legs, they benefit from long extended cook time, and they have so much flavor to go ahead and provide into the final broth. Also, Audio Murphy, watch it. I don't know what that was, but let's just delete that message, please. I don't think that'll be a timeout. I think you're just trying to be edgy, but you know, we're not going to do that at the moment. Okay, so 2 lovely turkey legs, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make a really, really beautiful stock out of it, and then we'll be taking all of the meat, and then we'll be going ahead and shredding it up. Okay, so gonna go ahead and put that down right behind us. Next, my friends, let's talk about some of the other ingredients that I'm gonna be having in this dish today. We're going to start it off with a lovely butternut squash. So, I love butternut squash. I love butternut squash. It blends up exceptionally well. It roasts really well. It's going to be nice and sweet, and it's going to make our stew, our soup, whatever we're calling this today, nice and creamy and nice and homogeneous. It is going to function as the base of it. I don't know if I'll use all of the butternut squash, but I'm going to be using a nice hefty chunk of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that down behind me. And then I can also go ahead and talk about some of the other components here. I have 1 massive, absolutely massive sweet onion. I don't think I'm going to use all of this onion. Also, Hexa, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. This is a really, really huge onion. Next, we also have some garlic because, you know, you have to have garlic in everything that you do, of course. We have some thyme leaves. We also have some oregano, ideally Mexican oregano. It's a little bit more similar to marjoram, but I just have basic oregano and that'll be fine. Also tanning bed, thank you so much for the sub. And then everybody, last but not least, we have some masa harina. Masa harina is a nixtamalized corn flour. Nixtamalization is the process of treating corn with something alkaline, and it helps to do a couple of fancy little chemical things to it. You can look up nixtamalization, my friends. So, some red corn masa harina. You can use theoretically any kind of masa harina. And to make homemade tortillas, it is super simple, it is super easy, and I'll walk you through exactly how to do that. And then, my friends, let's do the last of the components for today. So, very much so in the spirit of a mole, and really similar to the spirit of a curry, okay? In a curry, you would oftentimes add cashews. Depending on the style of curry that you're doing, you would do cashews, and then you would go ahead and blend it inside. In a mole, you would oftentimes see almonds, and then you would also see peanuts going in there. I had some walnuts today. I had some walnuts just sitting in my fridge. You always keep your nuts in the fridge, guys. It keeps them fresh longer, by the way. I had some lovely walnuts, and so I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and add that into the final dish. It's going to give it a really nice flavor. It's going to make it nice and meaty, and it's also going to go ahead and just really help out with the final texture. So, let's talk about some of the spices going into this today. We have some lovely cumin seeds, whole cumin seeds, because we're going to toast it and grind it down. How do I preserve it in the fridge, Moonha? Just a container, just a plastic bag, and then walnuts go inside. Otherwise, they do tend to spoil and get bitter a little bit faster. Kelly Loon, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Next, we have some coriander seeds for herbaceousness. We have 1 beautiful ancho chili, my friends. So, chilies, whole chilies. I need to hear a nice resounding yes, chef. Because dried chilies, my friends, are the heart and soul of all Mexican food. There is no concept of this single homogenized chili powder that you sort of keep in your cupboard and it just tastes vaguely smoky. There's so many different kinds of chilies. Now, I'm not making that big of a batch. I'm only really gonna need 1 dried chili for today, especially because I'm going more after like a soup vibe. But an ancho chili, my friends, you can smell it. It almost smells like a raisin. It adds such a lovely layer of complexity. It adds such an amazing flavor into the final dish today. So we have an ancho chili, but you're welcome to mix and match chilies for something like this. You can use guajillo chilies, you can use pasilla chilies, you can use chipotles, which are nice and smoky. You can use arbols, which are just really, really spicy. This is an ancho chili, and it's really nice and raisiny. Okay, next flavorings. I have some bay leaves. That's going to go directly into the stock. And then last but not least, my friends, I have 1 cinnamon stick. I might even just use half of the cinnamon stick because I'm afraid it might be too much for the final dish itself. So the idea is, again, we're going to have like the soup, the stew thing going on, vaguely inspired by a mole and a curry. Atop it is going to be a lovely pile of shredded turkey. And alongside all of that, my friends, we're going to make some fresh delicious homemade corn tortillas, and that's going to go ahead and mop it all up today. We're gonna need a blender, we're gonna need a tortilla press, and we're going to need the pressure cooker to make the stock. So, everybody, if we're ready to begin, I know that was a long intro. I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, as I take a nice little sip of water. Excellent. So, going into today, everybody, once again, we are going to be doing these once a week, every Sunday, 5 p.m. EST. If at any point in time you have any cooking questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask me. Remember, you can use me as an asset. I'm here to help you guys out. I'm here to help teach you guys how to properly and beautifully cook at home. So, everything is going to begin inside of the pressure cooker today. This is not the pressure cooker pot. This is the pressure cooker. So, I want to get everybody into the habit of making their own homemade stocks, of making their own homemade soups. Boxed chicken stock, canned chicken stock, my friends, it has so much less flavor, and you are essentially buying something that is made from a byproduct. It's super, super watered down, okay? And making homemade chicken stocks, making any kind of homemade stock is such a nice way of using up existing byproducts, of using up existing leftovers, and you just get a much more delicious product at the end of the day. The reason why I opt to use a pressure cooker is because it makes it faster in a stream setting, and also at a home setting, instead of it taking 2 hours, it just takes about 50 minutes or so. Chef, have you changed your pronouns? I noticed you updated them in your Twitter bio. Good question, Annie. The reason why, at least professionally, I'm moving away from it's is because I feel like I've alienated, especially in esports, I've alienated a lot of people that want to be supportive of trans people, but it's is still like a couple of steps too far. And so even though she, her is not ideal, it is what I'm publicly going to go by for the foreseeable future. Because, you know, I would like to increment things. I'd like to breadcrumb them, you know, in a way. So it was a big decision, but that is a decision I've ultimately made. Okay, so everybody, we got a lovely pot here. We have a lovely pressure cooker pot. This is where we're going to be making the turkey stock for today. So speaking of the turkey, I have my 2 lovely turkey legs right over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and add them directly into the pot, my friends. Okay, we don't have to sear it, we don't have to roast it, we don't have to get any color on it or anything, we don't have to overcomplicate it. And I know this shot looks a little bit dark, it's because the pot is so high. One day, I promise you, we will have a better stove lighting situation. One day, soon I hope, especially with just 1 stream a week. So, the 2 turkey legs, I'm gonna go ahead and nestle them in to the best of my ability. Guys, the rule of thumb with chicken legs, with turkey legs, with thighs, is that with dark meat, you can't really overcook it. The thing is, we just wanna cook it so that it really is just about falling off the bone, that we can get it nice and shredded. But legs and thighs, they benefit from long extended cook time. And by turning it into a stock, we get to take advantage of all the connective tissue, we get to take advantage of all the bones that we have naturally present. Okay, now let's go in with some of my aromatics for today. Specifically, I have some bay leaves. Just gonna give it a nice herbaceous note. Bay leaves are basically used in every single other kind of cuisine you can imagine. And guys, as far as making your stock, as far as making your soups, you are welcome to use any combination of aromatics that you would like. In my case today, because of the fact that I'm already cooking with an onion, we get to do something very, very special, which is we get to go ahead and use the onion scraps that we would normally just instead be discarding. The onion scraps, a little bit of the flesh, a little bit of the top, a little bit of the skin. It's going to provide a very nice, delicious allium flavor into the broth instead of just throwing it away. You could do the outer skin if you would like, if you give it a good wash, but honestly, I'm just gonna discard the outer skin and I'm just going to use the head and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get this onion ready for today. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to begin. Oh, also, everybody, before we continue, as always, wet paper towel under the cutting board stops it from sliding around, okay? So, really important. So, onion. This is a massive onion. I think I'm only gonna use half of it for today. I'm going to go ahead and just cut the head of it off, but I'm keeping the root of the onion nice and intact. So we're simply decapitating the onion, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and peel off the outermost layers of the skin. Something like that. And then I guess I can also go ahead and just slice off this little part as well, in case there is any dirt trapped inside. Okay, so now my friends, this chunk of onion, it can just go directly into the pressure cooker pot. Instead of throwing it away, we get to go ahead and make the most out of it, because that skin tends to be the thinnest, it tends to be the paperiest, and so it doesn't make for the best flesh. Okay, let's keep going. Onion, stack it up. We're just gonna go ahead and cut it in half, just like so. And I'm going to first peel off the outermost, the dirtiest skin, the one that was exposed to all of the elements. Right? I'm going to discard that stuff. And then the leathery skin, the one that's still not good enough for us to eat because it's still a little bit too chewy, this I can just go ahead and add it directly inside, my friends, right inside of the pot. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. So we're just going to go ahead and peel it off. We're going to peel it up. This guy, I think I'm going to go in a layer deeper. There it is. Peel it off, peel it off, peel it off. Excellent. And I'm going to get that onion skin, that leathery onion papery layer that we don't want to be eating at all. And I'll throw it into the pot. There we go. Nice, simple, easy. So, as for the rest of the onion prep, my friends, we don't need to worry about it at this moment because we're just going to go ahead and come back to that later. I'm going to take these bad boys, I'm going to put them behind me for safekeeping. And any and all scraps that are left on your cutting board, I can just take a quick little bench scraper and get them off and get them out of here. Because of the fact that this is a carbon steel knife, to stop it from rusting, I'm going to give it a quick little rinse and get it out of sight and out of mind. Rinse it off and dry it off. So, really simple stuff, guys. We're just making a homemade turkey stock. Anybody can do this, okay? You can do this with theoretically any bones that you have. If you do beef bones, I do tend to like blanching them first, but this is also perfect to do with something like chicken bones. And everybody, just because we have some, in my fridge at the moment, I have some leftover mushroom stems. I was prepping some mushrooms. I was cooking for myself and a friend the other day, and I had some leftover mushroom stems. So I thought, let's go ahead and add those mushroom stems after they've been cleaned, after they've been washed, of course. We're gonna get these bad boys directly into the pot as well. Chef, would you blanch pork bones too? Tarina, the answer is absolutely yes. Pork bones, they tend to develop a lot of scum on top of the stock itself, and so that you absolutely want to blanch before you go ahead and cook it off. Okay, whereas with turkey and chicken bones, they don't tend to do that nearly as much. Okay, so that is basically just gonna be about it for the stock. Now, normally, I try to advise people that you don't really need to season a stock besides at the until the end of cooking. The reason why I'm going to be heavily salting the stock today is because of the fact that I want the salt to really penetrate the turkey. I want it to be all super nice and seasoned, okay? So, I want to make sure that it has proper salinity. I'm going to go in with a couple of massive pinches of salt. All of that directly inside. And then everybody, I'm just going to go ahead and fill it up with just enough water that the turkey legs are covered, okay? Especially in a pressure cooker, you don't want to have anything too exposed because it doesn't tend to cook as evenly. So, just until it is covered, and I'm going to go ahead and get that done for you guys right now. That is a lot of salt, you would be correct, but I'm also making a lot of stock, guys. So it's a little bit intuitive. If you under-salt it, it'll be okay. If you over-salt it, it might be a little bit difficult to salvage, but that's mostly just to make sure that the turkey is able to cook up nice and evenly and to be able to get seasoned nice and evenly throughout, okay? Because we're gonna take all the meat off the bones, we're gonna shred it up, and we're gonna put it into a nice little pile in the middle of the dish today. So, my pot is all filled up. Let's talk about everything that went into the stock for today, guys. So this is going to be, once again, the base of the stew. It's going to be the base of the soup that we're making, essentially. All we have in here, we have my whole turkey legs, I have my onion scraps, I have some bay leaves, and I have a whole bunch of salt. Now, you are absolutely welcome to add other aromatics to this. If you're already cooking with celery, add in your celery scraps. If you're cooking with carrots, add in your carrot scraps. In fact, in my fridge, I have one chunk of carrot as well. That is not essential at all. It's just going to provide a little bit of extra sweetness into the final stock. So you know what I'm gonna do, guys? I'm just gonna go ahead and add it in. The magic of a homemade stock, the magic of a homemade broth, is that you get to use up all of your existing leftovers that you would otherwise not totally know what to do with. Okay, just putting a few things away while we have a moment. Getting some stuff loaded into the dishwasher. And then everybody, let's go ahead and make the stock happen. Now, you don't necessarily need a pressure cooker to do homemade stocks and soups. The reason why, again, I like to use a pressure cooker is because it saves me a lot of time. You're able to take water past 100 degrees Celsius, where it normally evaporates, right? You can't really take water past that point unless unless it is in a pressurized environment where it's able to actually heat past 100 degrees Celsius, and as a result, food is able to cook quicker. It's able to cook quicker. So it's in the pressure cooker pot, and honestly, for something like this, with these thick, super thick turkey legs, I'm gonna say it's gonna be about an hour on high pressure, my friends. All right, an hour on high pressure, and again, if you undercook it, you can always put it back in. We're just trying to get the turkey legs to the point that the meat is able to gently separate from the bones, and we'll be able to go ahead and pile it up in the middle of the stew today. Okay, so pressure cook, gonna be setting it onto high for an hour's time, maybe 50 minutes, 55 minutes, that kind of thing. Shouldn't take too long at all, and it's going. Excellent. Does anybody have any questions in the meantime? Before we go ahead and we begin all of our prep for today, because we do have quite a bit of prep that we need to get done, my friends. We're going to be frying, we're going to be soaking, we're going to be blending, we're going to give this stew, this soup, this mole, essentially, a lot of love. I don't really know what to call it yet. I don't actually have a name for it in mind because it's doing a lot of different things at once. So, what are some of the things that need to happen? Well, I need to show you guys how to properly break down a butternut squash, which can be a little bit tricky to a lot of you, okay? We're going to have to peel it. We're going to have to go ahead and scoop out the seeds. I don't think I'm gonna be using all of it today. Next, we're going to have to cut up the onion. We have to cut up the garlic. We're going to need to toast the spices, grind the spices down ourselves. We're going to need to go ahead and fry the chili. We're going to cook it all. We're gonna get the butternut squash nice and tender, everybody. And it's all going to cook in that beautiful stock that the turkey is making for us at the moment. And while that's cooking, while that's boiling away, what we'll also be able to do is we'll be able to prepare the tortillas. So, long day ahead of us, long stream ahead of us. I think that we could probably begin. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the butternut squash. This is going to be the most difficult task of today. You're going to need a little bit of muscular strength, you're going to need a nice sharp knife, and you're going to need a vegetable peeler. So, let's go ahead and get this started. It's going to provide us a nice sweetness. Okay, I love butternut squash. I love it roasted. I love it blended. I love it in stews. I love it in soups. All right, and we're going to begin over a waste bowl that might be a little bit too tiny. We're going to start off by simply peeling this bad boy. And we're going to go all the way around until we get all of that really, really papery skin off and gone. Because that papery skin, guys, doesn't blend up too well. It's not the best for eating, and I don't recommend it. The only time that you would keep the skin on is if you're doing like a whole roasted butternut squash. Okay? In fact, this would be probably easier to peel if I first cut it in half, but I did not get that far. So in fact, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to peel this almost like an apple and go just all the way around like this. Okay? And I'm just going around, I'm making a nice little circle with a nice sharp peeler. And if your peeler is struggling to get the job done, that might be an indication that it is time to buy a new and sharper peeler, my friends. Peelers are the kind of kitchen equipment that you have to replace every so often. Okay, around we go, getting as much of this bad boy peeled up as possible. That's it. Yeah. Can peelers be sharpened? Yeah, Moonha, I don't know. I haven't even seen a single one that can be. Now, there are scissors that can be sharpened. There are kitchen shears that are collapsible, that you can separate into two individual parts, and then you can go ahead and sharpen those if you have the right angle. But as for something like a peeler, I have never seen a peeler that can be sharpened before. Never, not once in my whole life. But they're absolutely kitchen shears. In fact, I'm pretty sure, watch it, don't roll away. I'm fairly certain, wherever these kitchen shears are, just to show you guys as an example, I don't know what it is. Okay, I have kitchen scissors that are able to separate into two pieces though, for anybody that was curious. Okay, so it's a big butternut squash. It's huge, in fact. Getting in there, peeling it up, getting the job done, my friends. And it gets a little bit slimy at some point, so if you feel like you need to put on gloves. YukoBet asks, should I be hesitant putting a bit of salt in dessert recipes? And the answer is absolutely no. You should not be hesitant. In fact, sometimes I do a lot of salt. In a lot of dishes, I find that you want just enough salt to be able to like make it pop slightly. You can't explicitly taste the salt in it, but you're able to just go, oh wow, there is something else going on. And then as for like chocolatey desserts and for cookies, I'm quite heavy on the salt, and I love doing like salt on top. So the answer is no. You're able to go ahead and be quite generous with it, because salty and sweet, it's a very contextual thing. A lot of people will find salty and sweet, the combination of it, to be very off-putting. However, with the really big rise of salted caramel, because salted caramel wasn't always a thing, okay? Salted caramel really, really cemented the idea of salty and sweet as a pairing in a lot of the Western palate. So, it's a fairly recent thing, actually, if I remember correctly. I remember hearing about it, I remember reading about it. So yeah, salty and sweet is always delicious. Okay, wonderful. Almost done. But yeah, somebody like, you know, like my grandmother, for instance, right? If I gave her like a cookie with some salt on it, she would be so confused about it, because that like idea, that pairing, has not been like baked into her mind. It's very, very contextual. Okay, so butternut squash, beautifully peeled, okay, just so that we can waste as little of it as possible when we go down to trim it off. Okay, excellent. Now, let's go ahead and prepare this bad boy. We're going to go ahead and just cut off the top with a nice sharp knife, my friends, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and cut off the bottom as well while we're at it. Wonderful. Both of those gone, both of those go, you know, going ahead and thrown into the waste bowl for today. And now we're left with these two sections of the butternut squash. Now, this is the side that's going to be the easiest to prep. This is the side that doesn't have the seeds in it. This is the side that has all of the seeds. If I were just to use exactly as much as I needed for today, I would just cut this off, save this for later, and make my life easier. But because I want to show you guys the process of how to actually prepare a butternut squash, we're going to have to give it a little bit of love. We're going to have to give it a little bit of effort, and that is okay. So for the top portion, I'm just going to go ahead and slice it off. Just, you know, at any point you think is fit. You can't really mess this up, right? Like this is going to be more than fine. Just cut that in half, okay? And you can see none of the seeds are peeking out here. So yeah, Moonha, how do you locate the limit between the seedless part and the other? I have no idea. And sometimes it does go up the neck of the butternut squash a little bit. There's no exact way to tell. I just go roughly by half, and that'll be enough. And then I'm going to go ahead and slice this bad boy in half. And we have exposed on the inside all of those seeds. So you're gonna want a bowl, you're gonna want a spoon. It's just scooping out a pumpkin, essentially. It's all the same stuff. Gonna go ahead and tie up my hair for this job. We're just gonna scoop it out. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Hold in one hand, spoon in the other, and get all of those seeds gone. Now, what can you do with the seeds? Truthfully, I have no idea. I just throw them away. A lot of people, they get very upset about throwing away pumpkin seeds, and they do toasted pumpkin seeds and stuff. And you're welcome to do so if you would like. In my case, I have no idea how to do that, and I have no desire to do that. A little bit of food waste is not a problem to me. So, let's go ahead and grab my lovely squash. And we're going to go ahead and just scoop this out. That's okay, Spring Heel Jimmy. It's lovely to have you. And always, guys, always over a waste bowl. It just makes your life so much easier. We already got most of it out in one fell swoop. And now we're just going in there to clean up all of the really fibrous bits. You want to really, really scrape up alongside it. Get the last of those seeds and try your best not to projectile it all over your kitchen. Okay, okay, okay. Excellent. And guys, just like that, nice and simple, nice and easy, much easier than a pumpkin, honestly. For whatever reason today, that was maybe the easiest I've ever cleaned up a butternut squash. You can see that all of those fibrous bits are gone, all those seeds are gone, and we're left with a hull of what once was. Let's do it again. Going in there, pivoting my spoon, scooping it all up, keeping it as intact as possible so we get as much of it out at once. There she goes. There she goes. And that, guys, that was like a perfect scoop, I have to say. Try your best not to touch the fibrous bits. Try your best not to touch the slimy bits too much. It'll just stick to your hands. It'll make everything slippery. And that is not what you want. You just want to keep clean. You want to keep nice and organized. Scrape it off. Go all the way around. And if you're ever wondering, like, oh, why is the fiber like getting stuck here? Why can't I actually scoop it out? It's because you're not going at it from different angles. So go at it from different angles, spin your spoon around, I've never come across a bad butternut, but how do I recognize one / its ripeness, asks Moonha. That's a good question. To be honest, I've also never come across a bad one. The easiest way to tell in general, with at least like things like eggplant, is gonna be like if there's any brown spots or if there's any mushy spots. As long as there's no visible mushy spots, and when you slice it and the seeds, they don't have like any mold on it or anything, you should be more than okay. In fact, the reason why squashes are so valuable is just because of how long of a shelf life they actually end up having, in a way, you know? So, everybody, guess what? We got it nice and cleaned up. We got all of those seeds nice and gone. We got all of those fibrous bits gone as well. Okay, and then we were just simply left with nothing but pure flesh. I love butternut squash, and so should you. Okay, so I'm just getting the last of my seeds out. Gonna go ahead and just quickly use my bench scraper just to get this stuff off of the cutting board. Just clean it up the best I can. Okay, so as for today, how much am I going to be making? I don't really want to make a massive pot of this stuff, okay? I'm only thinking of using just about this much, and then I'm gonna see how much butternut squash I have left, and then maybe use a little bit more if I absolutely need to. But for today, everybody, I'm just gonna be looking to keep this really simple. I'm not looking to make so much of it. I feel like in the past, I've had a really bad habit of always making, like, if I have a whole butternut squash, I'm gonna make the whole thing all the time. We're going to save this. We're going to keep this in the fridge. The best thing that you can do for it is probably just wrap it in a little bit of plastic, keep it in a container. And then this should be able to last you quite a few days. Okay, it is a butternut squash. These things are tanky and they last a long time. So that's gonna be sitting aside for just a moment. Let's also make sure that we have a place to put it on once it's been cut up. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a nice large plate. Okay, and then everybody, it is going to get blended down today. It's going to become completely homogeneous. The way that you cut it doesn't totally matter, except I'm just going to be cutting it smaller so that it's able to cook faster. So first I'm cutting it in half, then I'm cutting it in half like so, then I'm cutting it in half like so again, and then I'm going to cut it one more time into just nice little eighths, essentially. Well, it's slippery. It happens to the best of us. 5-second rule. It's fine. Ugh. Why is my life like this? It's a little bit slippery. So just be mindful of that when you're working with it, guys. Is the only thing. Okay. Come on, buddy. In you go. Thank you. Cutting it into rough eighths. Again, does not need to be exact for a dish like this. But the more samey that you keep them, the more even all of it is going to end up cooking down as well. There you go. Okay, next one. Cut it right in half. Also, Sir Specs, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing exceptionally well today. Take it, cut it in half. Take it and cut it in half. Wonderful. Take it, cut in half. And I think that's going to be plenty of butternut squash for today, guys, I have to say. There you go. And there you go. And then afterwards, I'm just going to go ahead and cube this bad boy up. So, as for this guy, I'm going to wrap it in plastic. I'll throw it into like a little plastic bag. And I'll just get it into the fridge so that it is out of sight and out of mind for this. Okay, I have quite a crowded cutting board at the moment. This is a really large amount of butternut squash. Yeah, how's everybody enjoying the routine of the show so far? And guys, as for lighting improvements, as for all of that, it's all going to be coming in the future. I would really, now that I am, all settled in, now that we've adjusted the schedule, I really want to focus on bringing you guys the best possible quality. So if you have any suggestions, you can also go into the Discord and we have a suggestions channel as well. So, butternut squash, once again, it's all going to get blended up. The way you cut it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to be cubing it up for convenience sake. Cube it up. Wonderful. Look how crowded my cutting board is. I don't want to keep cutting on this. It's an unpleasant environment. Take your bench scraper, scoop it off, make your station nice and clean, everybody. Okay? Let's take the next one. Take it, stack it up. It gets a little bit slimy if you touch the inside of it. So try to avoid that as much as possible. Cube it up. Again, the smaller that we cut it, the faster it's going to be able to cook today. I miss the good vibes of the stream, Wakaze. I'm glad to be able to give them back. Got a kitten today, a real one, not a Discord kitten. Heard you're sick, glad you're better now. Why, thank you. I was sick quite a while ago. We just went on a hiatus, so specs. That's all that happened. We just went on a big hiatus. I think I was sick like maybe last week or so. I don't know. There you go. A little bit more, and then we'll be all said and done. Just cube it up, cube it up. You don't have to have perfect technique. You don't have to have perfect knife skills for this. It's all gonna get blended down. You don't have to drag it, okay? And let's go ahead and take this one. And once again, cube it up, and 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 cube it up. Wonderful. Are we back on schedule? So Andogart, the schedule has changed to just every Sunday because 3 times a week was a little bit too much and I was burning out a little bit. And I can do a full write-up about like some of my reasoning as to why we do need to do the schedule change. But if also Sunday is not the best day for everybody, we can go ahead and figure out a better time if need be, of course. So butternut squash, nice and finished, okay? Let's go ahead and move on to my sweet onion. And guys, as you may see here, this is a massive, massive onion. I started out with a full globe, so I'm only gonna be doing about half a sweet onion today. But also, in regards to onions, you could use as much or as little as you would like. I don't want it to completely overpower the dish today. Ow. I don't want it to completely overpower the dish today, so I'm only gonna be using half. But if you also don't have onions, feel free to use shallots, feel free to use leeks, feel free to use any allium that you have available to you. You gotta have onions in something like this. You gotta have an allium in something like this though. So everybody, we're going to be fanning out the onion. The root is intact. Okay, I'm just taking my knife and making parallel incisions, fanning it out, fanning it out, fanning it out. And now that it's fanned out, again, it's all gonna get blended. This is just to make it cook evenly. We can go ahead and slice it and slice it and slice it and look at what happens. All of those beautiful onions already perfectly diced for today. Okay, keep your stacks together if it's falling apart. Slice it and slice it. Wonderful. Okay, look at the cutting board. Look how crowded it's getting. Guys, this isn't a professional kitchen cutting board. It's not this big. We have a limited space. So instead of us just continuing to just work and work on this thing over and over, let's just go ahead and clean it off. Let's get it onto the transfer plate, okay? This is not as necessary if you're working on like a big butcher block, but this is still good form, okay? Keep your station clean, keep it organized, and make your life easier for yourself. How many cutting boards are in the kitchen? Maybe like 4, and most of them are way too small. In fact, I might want to go ahead and buy some new ones because I think my needs have changed over time, but that's okay. Everybody, my onions, as well as my butternut squash, are officially diced, and in the interest of saving as many plates as I can, I'm just gonna have them onto the same one. Wishlist suggestion? Yeah, that's a good idea, but I still haven't figured out exactly which one I want. If I want to get fancy with it, I would use a high soft cutting board. High soft cutting boards are very, very popular in Michelin restaurants because of how gentle they are on the blade. So I think that's what I might do. Anyways, onion, butternut squash, nice and simple, nice and easy. We got that prepped, we got that done. I'm going to go ahead and quickly rinse off my knife once again. Just make sure that all food particles are washed off of it and that I'm keeping it nice and dry throughout today. My pressure cooker has beeped. That is telling us that it has built up pressure and the turkey stock is now being officially made. All that time it was just bubbling up, it was just boiling up and building pressure over time. Okay. Ooh, and I gotta get my knife sharpened this week. These bad boys are dull at this point, I have to say. The Epicurean cutting boards are pretty rough on the knives, I think. I agree, Serena. They're rough on the knives, but they're not rough in the dishwasher. The reason why they're so nice is because they're a wooden cutting board that is dishwashable. So I think they're pretty ideal for a lot of home cooks. But yeah, you're right. It's not a very soft material, and it's not very gentle on the blade. But I've already gotten to the habit of hand washing my cutting boards, so I think it's time for me to make the plunge to high soft. Okay, knife, nice and washed up. Wonderful. It looks good. It looks wonderful, in fact. So what else do we have to go ahead and get done for today? Well, we're going to need to go ahead and toast our spices. We're going to grind that down into a lovely spice powder, which I believe we could begin doing the work for just about now. So, what do we have here? I have all these lovely little aromatics. This onion, though, I am going to just go ahead and throw this into the fridge, as we have no more use for him. Just get that gone, get that out of sight. Wonderful. Okay, next, everybody, what do we have here? I have whole cumin seeds. I have some coriander seeds. I have a cinnamon stick. I have walnuts. I have this lovely ancho chili as well as some oregano and some thyme leaves. So the idea that I have is the following. Okay, we're going to go ahead and toast these spices because it makes them a little bit more earthy. It makes them a little bit more warm. We're going to grind it down into a lovely little spice powder. The ancho chili and the walnuts, we're going to go ahead and save those guys for later. Okay, and then the oregano and the thyme is also going to go ahead and get ground down, right? We're just going with a lot of different Thanksgiving-y flavors. We're using a lot of Mexican flavors in here as well. I think this might be way too many coriander seeds, but we'll see. Where do ancho chilies come from? So ancho chilies are a Mexican chili. They're a Mexican chili, munha, and it's spelled A-N-C-H-O. So I think it's time for us to go ahead and toast some chilies, everybody. All I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a small little saute pan, just like so. We're going to go on over to the stove. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get my spices nice and toasted up. Also, I do wish that calorie was a little bit less dark. I know, guys, one day we'll be able to get some more color on it. So, in the meantime, the only spices that need toasting are the following. We're doing the cumin seeds. We're going to be doing the coriander seeds. I'm not going to be using all of those because that can easily get overpowering. And then I'm also going to do some of this cinnamon stick for an extra earthiness, for an extra warmth. So, when you're toasting spices, guys, the key is just to keep it all moving. You just want to keep it moving. You want to keep it going. You want to keep it rolling. Okay? Because they're irregular surfaces and we're not cooking them in oil. If we were to cook them in oil, we would not need to necessarily move them as often. But because of the fact it's just toasting on a flat surface, to stop the spices from burning, to make sure it toasts evenly, we keep it moving. And I want to hear yes, chef, to that, please and thank you. So keep it moving, keep it going. Cumin seeds, coriander seeds, a cinnamon stick as well. And we're going to be doing all of that in a lovely spice grinder to get it down into an amazing, flavorful little powder. Keep it going, guys, keep it going. I gotta practice doing this with my left hand as well for a little bit without bumping into other stuff. So that's me practicing. Okay, you get out of here. Enough. I was so tired of hitting it all the time. And so, guys, there is no exact perfect time when you know it's fully toasted. You'll just see slight wisps of smoke. And when you start to see slight wisps of smoke, that's a good indication that it has been toasted. So, keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Ooh, I could have another camera right over here if I really wanted to. That would be pointed at my face. That could be fun. That could be pretty cool, I think. Okay, I'm trying my best not to bang my pots and pans, guys. I'm trying really, really hard. Okay? So again, we're keeping it moving. We're keeping it toasting. Right? Until we see slight wisps of smoke. I'm going to go ahead and have a sip of water in the meantime. It'll be okay if we leave it for a second. Keep it moving. Keep it all flipping. Get it nice and aromatic, nice and fragrant. And is toasting spices essential? Not particularly. It tends to get rid of some of the lighter end flavors, and it tends to just really develop some more of the earthy ones. And I just think for the flavor palette that we're building today, that would all be very, very nice and very, very welcomed. Still not smoking yet, my friends. Still not there yet. We're just gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it toasting. Ooh. That's it. It's a heavy pan with a thick bottom, so it's not toasting the fastest, as it could be at least. If I used a thinner pan, then it would be. Ah. Great, wonderful. How's it going so far? Oh, everybody, I can smell the cinnamon coming alive. You can smell the cinnamon beginning to wake up at the stage. The cumin seed's not there yet. The coriander seed's not fully there yet either. Wonderful. Almost. Almost, everybody. Please be patient. Chef, did you say we were roasting or broiling the squash pieces before we blend it? No, Serena, we're just going to be boiling it inside of the stock today. That's a good question. The reason why I'm not going to be frying it, the reason why I'm not going to be toasting it, is just because I don't want it to be too bitter or too complex in its flavor. We're going to have a lot of spices going into it. We're going to have a chili going into it. We're already going to be frying the onions for it. And so if we were to char and roast the butternut squash, we might develop a little too much bitterness. And so I'm looking for a little bit more clean flavor out of it today. I'm looking for just its nice, subtle, clean sweetness. Okay. Still not there yet, everybody. Still got to keep it going a little bit longer. Thank you for being patient. I think I'm lifting it up a little bit too high, so I'm taking it off the heat too much. Yeah, it's still not there yet. Still not toasted. This is the longest I've ever toasted it because I am doing this on a really, really thick pan. My usual go-to pan is a lot thinner than this. So, not nearly as much of a wait, not nearly as much of a delay. But everybody, I am beginning to get my wisps of smoke. I can smell it. I can smell it hitting the kitchen. And now is going to be the time that I'm just going to be going ahead and taking it off the heat. Now, because of the fact that it is still hot, we're going to make sure that we don't leave it unattended on this hot pan for a little too long. And I'm just going to go ahead and gently, to the best of my ability, pour this without spilling any on my stove into my nice cute little condiment cup. Wonderful. Chef, have you ever cooked red bananas? My local market got some and I'm curious. I have no idea what a red banana is, Godzilla. I've never even heard of it in my life. Okay, it's time for us to go ahead and grind down these spices. We're going to go ahead and obtain, oop, I didn't take that off from last time. Excuse me. Come on, buddy. Thank you. 1 second, everybody. I had some spices that I did not take out before, so I'm just getting a jump start on that now, I guess. Forgot to clean up my spice grinder. The nice thing about a spice grinder is also you don't ever have to really wash it with water or anything, but that's okay. So, plug that bad boy in, plug that bad boy inside. Let's go ahead and get my cumin, my coriander, my cinnamon. It is not a plastic cutting board, that is a wooden one. So as a result, I am comfortable putting it out here. Next, let's do my oregano and my thyme. The oregano and the thyme, oh yeah, guys, this wooden cutting board, I put hot pans on it. It is totally okay, I promise you. The fire is off. If the fire was on, that would be a different story. You guys don't have to worry about it though. Okay? So, thyme leaves. I'm adding in just a little bit. We don't want the thyme to completely overpower everything. And then everybody, we're also going to go in with some oregano. Ideally, Mexican oregano. Do I have Mexican oregano today? The answer is unfortunately not, but it is still going to be an essential flavor of today. So, all of my spices are on, and now, yeah, it's more than fine. Now we can just grind it up, grind it up, grind up the cinnamon, grind up the cumin, grind up the coriander, and we're going to obtain a delicious aromatic powder, my friends. It's going to take a little bit. Just keep it grinding. Keep it grinding. Keep it grinding. Keep it grinding. Every now and then, you're going to go back in. You're going to check on it. You can see that we still have a lot of big chunks. We don't want big chunks. We want a nice powder. So what do? We grind it up. Okay, how do we do? Everybody, I believe that we're almost there, a few more seconds, and then we have achieved a nice, delicious, fine powder to season up the dish that we're making today. Wonderful. That's done. Let's go ahead and unplug this bad boy, and let's get this stuff inside. Excellent. Oh, everybody, it smells excellent, I have to say. This right here, you have the cinnamon, you have the coriander seeds, you have the cumin, you have the oregano, you have the thyme. It's herbaceous, it's aromatic, it's super, super warm. It's gonna be nice and earthy. It is going to be incredibly, incredibly delicious for you today. Guys, we have just finished a task. So what do we do before we continue? We put away the things that we do not need anymore, and I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. You want to put your spices away. You want to put your spice grinder away. The last thing that you want to do is just to go ahead and have a kitchen at the end of the day with a bunch of little miscellaneous things all over the place. Keep it moving and put things away as you go. So that's why I'm taking a second. As unprofessional as it may be to clean up in front of the camera, I still think it is so, so, so important, because at the end of the day, this is still my own home kitchen. Okay, so clean as you go. It is one of the most important things that I can teach each and every single one of you. If there is something to put into the dishwasher, put it in the dishwasher. If there is something to put away, it's time for us to go ahead and put that away. So that's gone. Now, this little stainless steel saute pan, guess what, guys? We have no more use for it today. He does nothing for us. All we did was we toasted spices on him. So you know what we can do? We can just wipe it off. We don't have to wash it. It was just some dry spices. Just wipe it off, get it gone, and then it's basically clean and ready to be put away as soon as it cools down. Okay, so what other prep do we actually have left for today? The walnuts themselves, I have not actually decided if I'm going to be toasting them yet. I could toast them, I could fry them. That would be very much so in the context of like a real proper mole. You would fry the nuts, you would fry the peanuts and the almonds. But truthfully, I'm very inexperienced when it comes to frying nuts. So I don't know how to best do that. As for the chili though, we do need to get a little bit of prep work done ahead of time, guys. Which is we gotta get the stem out and we gotta get the seeds out. And this is going to provide us so much of the flavor inside of the final dish today. Again, if this was a full, proper, authentic Mexican mole, we would be doing this with a whole lot more chilies. This is more of like a soup kind of vibe. So we don't need that many chilies inside of the end product. So right now, I'm taking a second. I gotta find my kitchen scissors, wherever I decided to put them last. Uh-oh. Chat. I don't know where my kitchen scissors are. I swear I saw them. I had them out recently. They were around at some point or another. And yet, now they're gone. Is it over? I don't think I took them out for today. How much is true? We do kind of need them now. That's right, we do need them now because I would like to ideally be able to prep the chili, Munha. I like to prep the chili and just be done with it. But alas, everywhere I look, there is no kitchen shears to see. I'll give another gander, I'll give another look, and if not, well, then we'll go ahead and improvise something, I guess. Where could they have possibly gone? They're not in here. They're not over here. Aha! Okay, found them. All right, everybody. So, dried chilies. Let's talk about dried chilies. So, there's so many different kinds of dried chilies. There's anchos, there's guajillos, there's bird's eyes, there's heaven facing, there's fish fragrant chilies, there's arbol chilies, there's chipotle chilies. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of kinds. There's Kashmiri chilies, there's red chilies. There's so many different kinds of dried chilies. Dried chilies are the heart and soul of Mexican food, my friends. It is not pre-ground mysterious chili powder that just tastes kind of smoky. This is a beautiful ancho chili. So, we're going to go ahead and first make sure of its quality. How do you know it's a good dried chili? Well, similar to dried fruit, you don't want it to actually be crunchy. You want it to be nice and leathery. Guys, you see how it's just sort of flexible and malleable in my hands? That's a nice, proper, fresh dried chili. If you're at the store, usually in any Mexican supermarket, they'll have bags of dried chilies. You just want to go up to the bag and give it a little squeeze. If it feels crunchy, then it's probably not the freshest dried chili in the world. If you already have dried chilies and they feel really, really crunchy, and they feel old, just use a little bit more. But those are not the kinds that we would be going out of our way to buy. So let's go ahead and just simply cut off the top of said chili. Cut the head of it off, decapitate it once again, guys. Whole lot of decapitation today. Then I'm just going to go ahead and open it up lengthwise. And again, if it's not a stale chili, look how easily all of it cuts up. Is a fresh dried chili an oxymoron? Nope, because dried doesn't actually imply old. Dried just means devoid of moisture. Okay? And it's going to be a little bit sticky. It's going to be a little bit leathery. Ideally, you would put on a glove for this, especially if it's like a really, really spicy chili. But in my case today, it's just an on-show, and I'm ready to make mistakes for the future. We're getting rid of the seeds, and we're getting rid of any of the white part of the chili, mostly because that is just where the heat and the bitterness of it lies. Okay, so look at me. I'm opening it up. I'm opening it up. I'm opening it up. And I'm getting as many of those seeds as I can gone. If a few of them are left behind, it's not the end of the world. It'll be okay, I promise. But we'll just take some good caution to make sure we get most of it gone when possible. And also in the frying stage, because what I do want to do is I want to quickly fry the chili as well. The seeds tend to fall off and burn inside of the pot, which is not what we are looking for. Okay. Oh boy, actually that's totally stuck to my hands, isn't it? That's going to be a problem for later. Okay, ancho chilies are not that spicy. It shouldn't mess me up too much. It's again mostly raisiny, it's mostly sweet, it's mostly a little bit bitter, complex. Okay, that's the majority of it. That's fine. That's good for now. All right, only thing I want to do is, you see how big of a chunk this is in? I'm just going to go ahead and get it into slightly smaller pieces, because when we fry this, we're going to go ahead and pull it out, and we just want to make sure that all of the fat is able to nicely and properly, evenly cover the chili. So, lovely. That's done. That's set. That's all ready to go for today. The next element of prep, everybody, we have a whole bunch of garlic, okay? And we're just going to be using one of my favorite kitchen tools, as always, the handy dandy garlic press, okay? So first step, well, I'm actually gonna first try to get this spoon thrown into the dishwasher for today. The first step, as always, is to do what? Well, we're going to go ahead and separate the cloves from the head. And once again, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me at any point in time. For today, I'm going to be doing 4 hefty garlic cloves, just to make everything nice and aromatic, nice and delicious. Okay? And all that we're going to do, everybody, to separate the skin from the rest of the clove itself, I just touched my face. Luckily, I did not touch my eyeball yet. Okay, these are just dried poblanos. I was not sure which chili they were, but if they're poblanos aren't all that spicy at all. Okay, guys, take it and smash it down. And also, Trashcan Cat Mom asks, what do you think of the 2-bowl shaking the garlic to get the skin off method? Here's what I think about it. It's kind of good if you have a lot of arm strength, but I also find it to be a little bit awkward because I think it's faster just to go ahead and individually smash each clove. I guess if you're doing like a big enough batch at once, it would be able to work, but I think this does the job more than fine and more than quickly, and you have to use less equipment to get the job done. So, everybody, now that it's been smashed, you can see what happens, you can see what's going on. The skin just simply pops from the clove. And we're gonna get it all nice and separated. And then if there's any little nasty bits, we're just gonna go ahead and trim those off, and we're trimming off the butts, and that's all going to be for the garbage. And we're gonna trim off the butt. And this guy, look at that little nasty bit, trim that off. Trim that off, wonderful. This guy, looking good, trim that off, excellent. Okay, using the bench scraper, I'm just gonna get all of those skins off of my cutting board and out of here, okay? So, once again, everybody, I do not like chopping garlic by hand. The finer that you crush it, the finer that you chop it, the more pungent that it's able to get. I find that mincing garlic by hand is an arbitrarily long task. So instead, all that I like to do is I like to employ the use of my favorite kitchen tool, the handy dandy garlic press. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to give it a nice big squeeze. And we're going to do this with each and every single one. And this is my new garlic press. So much nicer than the one I had at my old place. And then after we're done with the garlic, we'll do a little recap session for you today. I think I showed this off on stream before, the new garlic press. I don't think this is the first time that we are unveiling him. Okay, wonderful. And we're just gonna get in here. And even all of this stuff, we could probably just salvage and add it inside because it's all gonna get blended up anyways. So, garlic, all done. Everybody, the best time to wash a garlic press is now. Wash it before it dries off. Quickly just run it with some water, get the holes poked with a little brush, and I'm just gonna throw mine into the dishwasher just to make my life easier, although you really don't need to. So many people, they complain about washing a garlic press. It is so simple if you're just washing it immediately after you are done using it. So, garlic press, away she goes. Everybody, nice resounding yes, chef, if you are ready for a nice little recap session, okay? So, what are we doing today? Well, we are doing a dish that is inspired by my time in Salt Lake City. I went to go visit somebody, and I remember at a restaurant, there was a turkey enchilada. It was a turkey enchilada surrounded by a really beautiful, complex mole. Okay? And a mole, for those of you that are uninitiated, it's not a stew, it's not a sauce, it's not a soup. It is a combination of seeds, spices, chilies, sometimes chocolate, sometimes bread, a whole bunch of other things, into this amazing, amazing dish that is sometimes served with a little protein. I had this turkey enchilada that was surrounded by a lovely mole. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I wanted to do something similar to that as well. We're making homemade tortillas. In my pressure cooker, I have turkey legs going and being made into a lovely little broth. And we're going to take the turkey meat and shred it up. In the turkey broth, we're going to make something that is a little bit closer to a soup. I have onions, I have butternut squash, I have some walnuts as well, I have some garlic, and then I have oregano, I have cinnamon, I have cumin seeds, I have a whole bunch of spices going to be going into this today, as well as one ancho chili. Alright, so not exactly a mole, it has a lot of the flavors and a lot of the ingredients of a mole, but it's more so akin to that of a soup. So, we've prepped the garlic, we prepped the butternut squash, the stock is going, we did the spices and we did the chili. We have two big tasks left for us to do. The first step is going to be for us to make the dough for the tortillas today. Guys, making your own homemade corn tortillas is super simple, it's super accessible, and every single one of you are capable of doing it. The reason why I consider it ideal in a home setting is because, first of all, it is so much better than store-bought corn tortillas. Those things are rubbery, dry, and full of a bunch of additives, and they have no flavor of corn. I'm going to be using this red masa harina for my tortillas today. You could use any masa harina, you could use maseca. Okay, there's a lot of different brands out there. All big supermarkets carry some form of it, especially Latin American grocery stores will carry a lot of different ones. It is 2 ingredients, masa and water. That's it. That's all that it takes. A little bit of masa, a little bit of hot water. Now, I will show you how to get the consistency that you need. It's roughly volumetrically, sometimes a 1-to-1 ratio. It depends on the humidity, it depends on how dry your masa is, it depends on a lot of different factors. But everybody, I'm going to walk you through exactly how easy this is to do in a home setting. So, let's begin doing our prep for the masa, because the dough, it doesn't need to rest as much as it does needs to hydrate. It has no gluten in it. It is made with only corn. So that means there is no rolling out, there is no kneading it. We just mix it to combine it and we mix it to develop it, and it's going to be perfect. So, into a nice bowl. This is a nice bowl. I'm just going to grab, and I'm not using measuring cups. I'm not using measuring spoons or anything, guys. We're keeping it super simple. We're keeping it super, super easy for today. Because the perfect masa is not a dough that is made with exact ratios and measurements. It is one that is made by feel. Again, sometimes you're using water of a different temperature and it hydrates differently. Sometimes it's a little bit drier. Sometimes it's a little bit more humid. Okay? Things change in the kitchen. So, I'm just gonna show you how to do this by feel. Masa. Again, you could use any kind of masa. I have this beautiful red corn masa, okay, that I'm just going to go ahead and spoon into my measuring cup. Whatever amount this is, that's how much dough we're gonna make today. Right? I'm not making a lot of tortillas. I don't have use for a lot of tortillas in my fridge. Okay? I'm just going ahead and oh, hello. I did not mean to projectile some all over you guys or anything. Okay? And maybe a little bit more than that for today. Wonderful. That is how much masa I'm going to be using. And now, this might be the inconsistency. This is the innate inconsistency of volume. Because guys, look at how much volume it takes up now. If we were to pack it down, because there is less air inside of it, it takes up a much, much different volume. That is why for something like this, there is no exact measurements. Also, Fendweller, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So, take it, add it into the bowl. I don't know how much I'm making. This is going to yield maybe 6 tortillas in total today. I'm not making that much. Maybe I'll do a little spoon extra. Okay, and then we're going to do roughly just a little bit less. It's easier to add more water than it is to add more flour. We're going to get some nice warm water from the tap. Not hot, not cold. Warm tap water. Chef, is there any flavor difference in red, blue, white, or yellow corn? Honestly, Godzilla, is not that I can tell. I'm going to be totally honest with you. They all taste fairly identical. So, hot water. You can always add more in, my friends. But we're going to start off with just about this amount. And in fact, I'm going to save some just so that we can add more if needed. I like to begin with a spoon, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the use of a glove once the water has cooled down ever so slightly. So, it's going to first be really crumbly. Just break up those big chunks. Make sure the flour, the masa, is all folded in. Just mix it up, guys. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Get all of those dry bits. Mix it up, nice and easy. Anybody can do this, guys. Homemade corn tortillas, they take a little bit of fuel. They take a little bit of time, but once you get there, they're so special. In fact, I can tell you right now, I'm gonna use the rest of this water, and we might need a little bit extra. I'll show you how to feel for it. What we're looking for is for it to cleanly come off our palm once we press it onto our hand, but we don't want it to leave any residue. You want it to easily come off the palm of your hand, and that's a good indication of a nice, proper tortilla, okay? So, now I'm moving on to a glove. The water has cooled down enough that I can feel confident handling it with my hands, okay? And this isn't really kneading as much as we are just incorporating. Kneading is to develop gluten. This, we're just trying to hydrate the flour. We're trying to hydrate the masa. And it can't be any corn flour, guys. It has to be nixtamalized corn. It has to be masa harina, okay? Super, super important. The process of nixtamalizing it dramatically changes the texture and dramatically changes the flavor of it, as well as the nutritional content of it. And guys, as you can see, with just a little teeny tiny bit of mixing, look what happens. Look what happens. Look at what happens. What do we have? That's right, a beautiful dough. So, even if you think you're done mixing it, everybody, do not stop, because this has no gluten in it. You can't actually over-mix it, but you can definitely under-mix it. Why is it purple? Because this is red flour that I got from a company called Macienda. I'd love to work with them one day in the future. But it's made from a red corn. There's red corn, there's blue corn, there's white corn, there's yellow corn. Is there also green corn? There might be. Okay, rolling it around, getting all of those last little pockets, just flattening it, smushing it down, smushing it down, smushing it down, and picking it all back up, making sure that there's no little bits in there that are left behind, punching it. There is no wrong way to do this, everybody. So, I'm already looking at this, and I can tell you right now, this dough is looking a little bit too dry. So, how do we know if it's too dry? If it's not dry, or if it's too dry, or if it's too wet, it's not going to puff up correctly. It's not going to cook right. So here's how we tell. Ball, dough, hand. Go ahead and flatten it, flatten it, flatten it, flatten it down. In fact, actually, wait, guys, on the first shot, I think it's perfect. We have no cracking along the edges. If there's no cracking along the edges, that tells us it has enough water. Now, to tell if it has too much, we peel it back. If it sticks to your hands, if it leaves a residue, that means that it's too wet and you need to add more flour. But everybody, I have never had this happen before. On my first go, that was a perfect dough. It is not cracking. I smush it down. It's perfect. It's not sticking to my hand. That is perfect. Okay, now don't go anywhere. Don't rush anywhere. You want to go ahead and leave this to sit. So let's say maybe about 30 minutes or so at minimum. 30 minutes at minimum, because even though we're not relaxing any gluten, even though there's no gluten development, the flour is still going to hydrate ever so slightly. It is still going to hydrate. So you want to wrap it up. You want to wrap it up in something nice and tight like plastic wrap to stop the outside of it from drying out. Get it nice and covered up. And everybody, we have a beautiful ball of masa ready to go and ready to be made into a beautiful tortilla for today. Does anybody have any questions for me? Now, the dough is done. I have stuff on my table. I have stuff on my cutting board. The question is, do we keep cooking or do we put things away? Of course we put things away. Let's get this stuff out of here. Let's put it back into the pantry. All right, guys, clean as you go. It is essential. Gonna get this guy gone. Gonna put him away. My cup, my spoon, all of that. It's all gonna go. It's all gonna be gone. We have places to be, we have things to do, but we don't want the clutter to pile up on top of us. Okay, so the dough is made, the deed is done. I'm gonna also put away my sheet tray that I no longer have any use for as well. Gonna put this back. And all of a sudden, my kitchen looks like a lot nicer, right? We have a lot less stuff going on, we have a lot less elements. So, I'm gonna have a little sip of water, and we'll talk about what comes next. The pressure cooker is still going for about 20 more minutes. In the meantime, we can get a head start on frying all of my components. We're going to be frying the chilies and we're going to be frying the onions. In doing so, we develop a lot of depth. We develop a lot of additional flavor, everybody, and we achieve a product that is going to be super, super delicious. If we were just to boil the onions, it would be a little bit watery, it'd be a little bit bland. If we were just to add the chilies as it is, it wouldn't have its full warmth actually diffused into the oil itself. By frying the chili in the oil, we get to keep a lot of its flavors throughout the soup itself, and it's going to be super, super delicious. So, let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to go ahead and get a nice large saucepan, a nice pot, anything that would be able to accommodate the volume of ingredients that we're about to have for today. Stove on. Why is my lighting here so not good? That sucks. That's tough. I'm sorry, guys. You can't see that too well, but that's okay. So, the key to cooking on a stainless steel pan, everybody. The key to cooking on a cast iron pan. The key to cooking in any pan is heating it up slowly over a longer period of time. We're going to start off by frying the chilies before the onions. Why? The onions are going to create a lot of stuck sugar on the bottom of the pan. Generally speaking, the sweeter something is and the wetter something is, the later that you add it in the frying process. So we begin with the chilies and then we do the onions afterwards. Because just a few pieces of chilies, it'll take just a few seconds. We're going to begin with a nice low-medium heat. Now, the next question is the following. Which fat do we choose to cook with for today? In my case, I want to be using a little bit of butter. Now, is butter traditional in a mole? Is butter traditional in something like this? The answer is honestly no. You would just kind of use a just cooking oil that is suited for longer temperature cooking. I want the flavor of butter to be inside of the stew because it's also a butternut squash stew. You want to have some of those delicious brown butter flavors. You like having that delicious creamy component to it. Butter is going to be my fat of choice. And not just a little bit of butter, guys. As you can see, it's a good chunk of it. Now, what is the other fat that I will choose? I will need also a teeny tiny splash of a neutral oil. This can be avocado oil, canola oil, peanut oil. It is not the tastiest of oils, but we need a little bit more so that it is not just pure butter flavor coming all the way through, and we need something that is able to hold up to the fry time of the onions. So, a little bit of avocado oil, but mostly butter. Gonna be going inside of today's dish. Ooh, I should probably refill my salt container. Okay, so we're going to take the chilies, we're going to fry it. We're going to get the flavor nice and infused inside of the oil itself. And then we're going to fry the onions. We're going to fry the garlic. We're going to add in the rest of the ingredients, add in the stock that's going to be ready in about 20 minutes time, and we're going to let it all bubble up and get nice and soft. We'll shred the turkey, we'll blend up the stew, we'll make the tortillas, and then we will serve it. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? The walnuts I don't know if I'm going to use all of those walnuts. Maybe we should use all those walnuts. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm not that accustomed to cooking with walnuts. It's a little bit of a new thing for me. But I'm excited about how it's going to go today. Again, it's both evocative of like the peanuts and the almonds in a mole, as well as like the cashews that would be used in a curry. Mole and curry, they do have a lot of interesting overlaps in some ways, which I just think is fun to think about. Low, medium heat, my friends. You want to get the pan nice and evenly heated. The chilies, of course, are not going to stick. They're not too wet. They're only going to be there for a little bit of time just to get them nice and fried. Yeah. And as for this pan, I can probably already do away with him. Get him out of there as well. Get this guy gone as well. I have no use for that. Oh, there we go. I think that's brightened things up a little bit at least. Yeah, this is clean. I don't know why this was out here then. I'm going to go ahead and put that away. Okay, wonderful. Butter is melting away. Nice and slowly does it. Oh, yeah, we've done the most of the work for today. Everything is now just slowly going to be coming together. First the chilies, then we'll do the onions, then we'll do the garlic in that order. We'll add in the spices. We'll let the spices get into the fat as well for a little bit. We'll add in the stock. We'll add the butternut squash, let it cook, and then blend it all down. It'll be nice and flavorful. In the meantime, I'm also just going to go ahead and hopefully, well, I need a step stool for that. My tongs fell on the floor. That's okay. I don't need them anyways. Get them out of here. Get this plate out of here as well. Where's my step stool? Where's my kitchen step stool? It's no longer in the kitchen. I can't reach the cabinet I need for the salt. Oh well, I guess we'll live. I think we'll live. I think we'll be okay. Okay, let's get all of that butter nice and melted. We don't want necessarily browned butter. We just want it to be hot enough that we're able to quickly toast the chilies. And frying the chilies, we just don't want to burn it. It's kind of difficult to tell when it burns because it is dried and leathery. It's not going to take too much time at all, right? We could just mostly tell by the aroma of it. Oh, esquia. Oh my goodness. But I've also never actually made a full proper mole. Would you guys watch that? Would you guys watch me make a full mole one of these days? If you're making a mole, it's a lot of mole all at once. I do love mole. You do it with a little chocolate, you do it with some cookies, you do it with some bread, sesame seeds, peanuts, almonds. That would be really good. That would be very tasty. Okay, so butter, melted, hot, wonderful. I'm adding in my dried chilies really quickly just to go ahead and get the butter nice and infused so that it's able to permeate the rest of the dish for today, okay? And I think chopsticks will be my tool of choice just so that I can easily manipulate the ingredients and easily move them around. We're making like a little ancho chili butter, which, as I'm sure you guys can guess, will taste fantastic. Wonderful. Not too much time at all. Just give it a quick little fry. Excellent. And we're just having it go. We're just letting it go. We're just letting it do its own thing. Flip it over. Get it all the way around. Give it a little smell. Ooh. Guys, I can smell the ancho chili now properly coming out. That smells wonderful. Okay, this stage, that's all the frying it's going to need. We do not want to burn these chilies, my friends. I'm just going to go ahead and remove each and every single one of them. Not too much frying at all, just so they don't turn bitter and unpleasant. And now, into all of this delicious melted butter, everybody, goes in my onions. Just my onions, not my butternut squash, because we're going to get these onions also properly fried and nice and beautiful and golden. So in they go, in they go, in they go, in they go. Each and every single one of them. They're all gonna go in. They're all going in. I like to do it on a plate, even if it is a little bit more difficult to get it off of it, just so it uses less dishes. And now everybody, in order to get a good proper color, in order to get a good proper seal, and also let me tell you right now, those ancho chilies, after being fried in a little bit of oil, after being fried in a little bit of butter, it smells fantastic. It smells so rich and so raisiny. So, salt, whole bunch of salt goes in. I need to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching. This is how you properly saute and how you properly fry onions. It's not about super high heat in the beginning. It's not about getting it done in 2 to 3 minutes. It takes time and it takes a little bit of love. Also, Mitzi, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. The onions themselves, it takes 3 stages to actually properly cook them. The first stage, you will hear how quickly the sizzle stops being a sizzle. Listen to the sound. Listen. It's no longer sizzling. It's no longer searing. Why? Because the onions are collapsing and releasing their liquid. That is the first stage. To collapse the onions in time, the salt helps out with that, but it's just about getting them soft. The second stage is the evaporation stage. When the water evaporates, it's still not browning. Only after we've collapsed it, only after we've evaporated it, do we actually get a chance to brown the onions. Onions are wet. Onions are sopping wet. If you were just to fry them in 2 seconds, you would get superficial browning, but not actually any meaningful color developed over time. So now, my friends, the onions are in with a whole bunch of salt, and they're cooking in that butter and oil infused with the ancho chili. And as you can hear, as you can look on the bottom of the pan, the liquid is not clear. Also, calamari, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Excellent to have you, in fact. So, as you can tell, the water on the bottom, it is cloudy. If it's cloudy, that's a really good indication that it is still a suspension of water and oil together. But if it looks golden and if it looks clear, that's also a good indication that it is cooking in oil. So once again, cloudy equals water, clear equals oil. All right, really important rule of thumb. So listen to the sound. Listen to the sound, my friends. As it cooks, it's slowly becoming more and more higher pitched as the water is evaporating and we're approaching a sizzle. If it's a lower end, psh, it's cooking in water and not browning. If it's a higher end, pss, it's actually properly getting color on it. Droid, you've asked me searing versus caramelizing. That's a good question. They're difficult to compare because they both kind of involve each other a little bit. When you sear something, that's usually hot, super quick cooking, like something that you would do to a steak, and it is innately superficial, it's just on the outside of it. And you don't do that with stuff that's too wet. The way that you would do that with an onion, you can't really sear onion pieces because they collapse that quickly. But if you had half of an onion, because it's bigger and takes longer for it to collapse, you could sear that onion and just get one side of it really browned while it still is kind of raw. Caramelizing is just the process of cooking it down for an extended amount of time and getting something evenly browned. So, at the moment, the water on the bottom of the pan is beginning to evaporate. I'm just stirring it up to make sure that everything is evenly cooking. And guys, remember, color is a relationship between both heat and time. You don't want to blast it on a super high heat. It's not going to make it go by faster. You're just going to burn the juices on the bottom. Okay, medium heat, medium low heat is going to be plenty for something like this today. So, you can hear that we have approached the sizzle once again, everybody. The onions have just begun getting golden brown once again. The ancho chili, I have to say, smells pretty amazing. The fried ancho chili in the butter. This is going to be delicious. I'm really excited for it, everybody. The turkey stock has about 10 minutes left on it. So that's going to be lining up perfectly. Once the onions are browned sufficiently, we'll add in the garlic. We'll also let the garlic toast and infuse. We'll add in some of those spices. We'll add in some more salt. We'll pour in the stock and let the butternut squash get nice and soft. While it's doing that, we'll work on making all of the tortillas for today. And I'll be walking you through that process. It'll be fun. It'll be great. And we'll shred up the turkey, and then we'll be plating it all up. Okay? So, this is going. It's doing its own thing. Once again, going back in, stirring it every so often to make sure it's evenly cooking. And guys, if you have any questions, now would be the best possible time to ask. Because for the next few minutes, this is all we're doing. We're just cooking this up. It can be about anything regarding food. It can be about this dish. It can be about something else. Okay, I'll have another sip of water while I'm at it. I'll also check on my notifications. Okay. Chef, I saw you tweet about rehearsal and jazz. What do you play? Well, Tech Jansen, I play the vibraphone. I go into a music studio to go practice the vibraphone. I love it. I'm quite new to it, relatively speaking, and it's really hard, and it's kicking my ass a lot. Yeah. Going back into the onions, giving them a little stir, letting them go, letting them do their own thing. But guys, lately, also, let's talk about this for a second, because I think this is a really, really interesting topic of discussion. Lately, I've been watching a lot more cooking shows. I've been watching like a lot more, you know, like some of the older Food Network stuff. I was watching some Rachel Ray. I was watching some Han's Kitchen. I was watching Emily Lagasse. I never really actually watched Emily Lagasse like that for the first time. And guys, the thing that I'm really noticing is how constrained they are in an actual TV setting with like ad breaks and doing it live and like with 30 minutes and whatnot. Once you start to think about it with that lens, you can see so many like different cracks in the armor. You can see like stoves not being on. You can see like ovens not being on. Like everybody knows about like the, oh, we have a stunt double and we have this ready to go. But you see them rush so much of their processing and especially so much of their browning and so much of their sautéing. I genuinely think that cooking shows have done irreparable damage to, well, not irreparable, but they've done genuine damage to what people think like, oh, this is how long you have to saute for. This is what a stir fry looks like. Because they were confined under the limitations of a traditional broadcast setting. Because they had to get everything done in just a few minutes time, they might have actually meant, hey, you need to saute this, you need to stir this for about 10 minutes. But they did it in 30 seconds. And maybe the recipe will reflect that, but sometimes the recipe also just doesn't. And it's really poorly written recipes as well. They had to cut everything down to 22 minutes, but the food itself, it's just not suited for it, especially because of all the little steps that come into play. Like guys, look how much time it took for us to even get to a point where we're even like sauteing the onions. It took us quite a few minutes. We can't get the process of sauteing them in just a few seconds. It doesn't work that way. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of love because we have the water to take into account here, okay? The onions, they're getting nice and golden at this stage, my friends. Scrape up the bottom with any remaining moisture left inside of the pan as well. Make sure that you're scraping up the sides and you're not leaving any onion unturned. Wonderful. So I just thought that was really, really interesting because I'm starting to see that like all over the place the more that I watch. And if my goal is to one day do like very like condensed content, to do like condensed videos or to have my own cooking show, I wonder how I'm going to be able to adapt to that. I would like a cooking show ideally that doesn't even feature dishes. If I had to do 30 minutes live, then I would just do like concepts and show final products. But I'd want to do the concepts all the way through and show how to do the concepts correctly. Because I still don't believe that cooking TV shows actually do that much in terms of educating people. But that's all stuff for me to figure out for the future. In the meantime, we're working on the onion, guys. It's getting nice and golden. It's getting nice and properly browned. You can hear it sizzling away. It's getting nice and flavorful, and it's going to contribute a lot of the flavor into today's dish. Okay, the stock. About 6 minutes left on it, 5 minutes left on it. San Pablo, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Techniques are your bread and butter, the dish is secondary. Yeah, I think so too. But I still have to have like a pretty plate at the end of it because that's what sells. So, it's interesting stuff for me to figure out, I think. I'm not as interested in the dish as I am to help you guys like understand the mechanisms of what is going on and why it happens the way it does. Okay. Wonderful. So we're not looking for like a deeply caramelized onion for this. In fact, if you did, it would be fine. I just don't think you would actually be able to taste it. I think with the amount of spices, with the amount of ingredients we have in total, it would just kind of end up getting lost. But still infusing it with the flavor of these fried onions, still getting them nice and golden. It's just going to be delicious in the final product for today. Okay, everybody. It's hitting that point. My pressure cooker, honestly, at this stage, I can say that we should probably be able to release it just fine. It's been going for about an hour. So I'm going to release the pressure. We've made a beautiful, beautiful stock. And then we're going to add in the garlic. Guys, we do not add the garlic in the beginning of the frying of the onions because as you all may know, garlic tends to burn the quickest. It tends to burn the fastest of all of the other different vegetables and components that we have going on in this dish today. So, releasing that, letting that go, just for a second. And we have a beautiful turkey stock underneath all of that. Okay, so my onions, nice and beautiful and golden. Into the onions, all of my garlic cloves. Now is the time they get added. Now is the time that they go in. And we're mixing it up because remember, garlic burns before the onion itself does. And I don't know if that has to do with the more surface area because we minced it. It might have to do with the sugars. It might have to do with the water content or some combination of all of those factors. But it does burn sooner than everything else. Okay? So add it in and mix it up. Add it in and mix it up. And let it go. And let it do its thing. Nice low heat. Wonderful. That's it. Oh, and the turkey stock smells quite lovely. Nice and meaty. Nice and rich. The garlic flavor is getting properly infused into everything. And now, guys, also, once again, really, really important, we're going to infuse all of my spices. My cumin, my coriander seeds, my cinnamon, okay? My thyme and my oregano. We're also going to make sure that that bad boy gets properly infused into the oil as well. And I know this doesn't look that exciting right now. I know this doesn't look that interesting. But guys, let me tell you, there is so much flavor inside of this little pot at the moment. And by frying it into the oil, we get to infuse it as opposed to just cooking it in a wet environment. Okay. That is looking quite good. I have to say, nice low heat at the moment. Spices are frying. You can smell them. Well, sorry, I did the TV thing where I was like, oh, you can smell it. Chef, have you ever burnt your hair in the kitchen? I've burnt my hair doing other things, Turina, but not in the kitchen, actually, surprisingly. Even if I don't tie it up, even with super, super long hair in the kitchen, I have somehow avoided doing so. The closest I ever was like with like a blowtorch, when I was trying to blowtorch some skin, well, some hair, excuse me, off of a bit of pork belly. Okay, guys, my turkey stock is officially completed. My turkey is nice and tender. You can see that the way the meat is pulling away from the bone if I were to give you a nice full shot of it. So let's give you a full shot. So, turkey stock, infused, aromatic, delicious. I'm going to go ahead and get all of this stuff soaking now. It is time for us to enter the wet cooking of it all. We're going to add the butternut squash. I'm going to add in all of my stock. It's going to stop any searing. It's going to stop any sautéing right here and now. I'm just going to go ahead and ladle in as much as I need for all of my ingredients, for all of my components. Wonderful. In she goes. And in she goes. Okay, I think for now, this will be a satisfactory amount of stock. We'll see how much we're going to need. Next in, everybody, we're going to go in with, of course, my butternut squash. Because it's not a butternut squash soup, stew, whatever it is that we're making without it. It is the base of it today, my friends. It is the flavor of it all. So in all of it goes. It's going to give it the viscosity. It's going to give it the creaminess. It's going to give it everything that we are looking for. Wonderful. In all of it goes. Next up, don't forget about the rest of our ingredients. Okay? Let's keep up. Remember, we're trying to be evocative of a mole. And so instead of peanuts, instead of almonds, I had some walnuts. And guess what? I think that they're going to make for an excellent, excellent addition into today's final product. Walnuts goes in. My ancho chilies go in as well. Take this, bring it up to a boil, drop it to a simmer, and let this cook until the ancho chilies are softened, until the walnuts are softened, until the butternut squash is softened. I'm going to quickly taste it for salinity because my stock was really, really salty. We can always add more salt, but remember, we can't take salt away. So, all of it is inside. All of it is in at the moment. Give it a little taste. Plenty of salt at this stage, actually. But now, It just got to go ahead and cook in, my friends. It's all got to soften. I can already taste the ancho chili. It's going to be really, really remarkable stuff. I'm very, very excited about today's product. I've never done something quite like this. I've made many butternut squash soups, but this is a creation of my own, essentially. Somewhere in between a curry, a stew, and a mole. All of it just in between. Okay? Guys, that's it. So, let's do a little recap of everything that's going on in this pot. We're doing a little Thanksgiving themed show today for the first show back. So I want to do something with turkey. I made a really delicious rich turkey stock out of some turkey legs, out of some bay leaves, and out of some onions. So we let that cook. We made a spice blend out of toasted cinnamon, toasted coriander seeds, and toasted cumin seeds. Wonderful. We added some thyme and we added in some oregano. We fried up some ancho chilies in a little bit of butter and oil. Then we fried the onions. Then we fried the garlic. We added back in the ancho chilies. We added in a bunch of walnuts, butternut squash cubes, and of course, that delicious homemade stock. Okay, so now that's just gotta cook. That's just gotta go ahead and do its own thing, and we can leave it be, my friends. How long is it gonna take to cook? The answer is until everything is soft enough for us to be able to blend it. Is that gonna take 20 minutes? Is it gonna take 30 minutes? Is it gonna take 45 minutes? It all depends on the size of your butternut squash chunks, okay? So that's going, and that's looking good. So everybody, we have a little bit of downtime. What do we do when we have a little bit of downtime? Well, as you may have guessed, we clean up. I have a whole bunch of stuff that's got to get rid of. Look at my beautiful masa. This is what we're going to be using to make the homemade tortillas today, my friends. So, but in the meantime, my kitchen, there's a lot going on. There's a bit of a mess happening. I want to make sure that my station is clear and open. So everything that I don't need anymore, away it will go. Away it goes, away it all goes, and then we'll get ready the tortilla making station. And I'll show you everything that we'll need for that, and I'll explain to you why you should all be making your own homemade corn tortillas. They're so much better than store-bought ones, and it's so doable and it's so accessible, and even if you mess it up a little bit, even if it doesn't perfectly puff, it's still going to be perfect. It's still going to be super, super delicious. My walnuts, my squash. In fact, I could probably do another ladle of stock inside, because I'm looking at it and I'm going, yeah, that's not enough stock for it, isn't it? And all of it is coming together. Wonderful. We're just boiling it away, guys. Boiling it away, boiling it away, boiling it away. So, only thing I want to do is I want to take my turkey legs out of the, of course, the cooking liquid, out of the broth, and just simply let that cool down enough to the point that we can shred it up when we need it. So, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. Gonna get that gone out of the way and get that cool to the touch. And we're also going to steal a little technique. I'm gonna show you guys, and it's gonna be really, really cool. We're going to steal a technique from Hainanese chicken rice. And I'll show and explain to you exactly what technique that is in just a second. Okay. Okay, chicken on. Wonderful. All right, everybody. So, well, not chicken, turkey actually, but that's okay. So take a look. We have all of this lovely turkey, and you might say, oh, this is just boiled turkey. Well, yes, it is. It is just boiled turkey because we made a stock out of it. Now, that does not mean that we don't have to give it any love and we don't have to give it any attention. We're running a really big risk here, which is, if we were just to let this sit by itself, and we let this sit out for 30, 40 minutes, the skin, as well as the flesh underneath it, sometimes, if there's any exposed flesh, is going to get kind of dry, and it's going to get kind of chalky. This is a technique that I'm borrowing from Hainanese chicken rice, where after it comes out, you brush it down with some oil. We're going to be doing exactly that, my friends. And the oil is going to simply stop it from drying out as it sits here. Or rather, it's just going to stop the outer layer of the meat itself from drying out. It doesn't necessarily keep it juicier, it just stops the outside from getting chalky. Does everybody follow? So, it doesn't really matter what oil I'm using for this. Any of them will be just fine. You just want to get anything that's exposed to the air, anything that's exposed to the elements, you just want to get it covered with the oil. Okay, a little avocado oil, doesn't really matter. Just something to keep it hydrated and ready to go for when we need it. Okay? Just like that. Simple. Easy. That's it. Just a quick little butter technique that I've picked up on over time that has done nothing but serve me well. And so we just got to get that cool enough to the touch that we can shred it up. And everybody, when it comes to shredding meat, when it comes to shredding chicken, when it comes to shredding turkey, you just need to really cook it to death. When it cooks to death, it collapses, and it's so shreddable, and it's so tender. There's no secret. There's no magic to it. It's really, really simple stuff. Okay, guys, my stew, she's coming together. She's looking really, really good at the moment. My turkey is cooling off as well. We're going to go ahead and get my station ready to make some homemade tortillas. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly head back to the stove for just a moment. We need a few things. Of course, we're going to need a tortilla press. We're also going to need a steaming station. Once the tortilla comes out, it needs to steam in a bowl to finish cooking it. Okay, and we're going to basically create almost like a nice little assembly line so that once the ball gets rolling, it is simply rolling with no, well, just rolling in a straight line. Okay, so I'll toss away my waste bowl, get that stuff gone. I'm going to get a nice fresh bowl. This will be for my tortilla steaming station alongside a fresh towel. I'm saying fresh a lot. Yeah, chill out with that. Okay. Where's a nice clean kitchen towel? Should always have a supply of them at home. Got one? It's because you're so fresh, chef. Thank you, Tech Jansen. I appreciate it. Okay. Next, I'm going to transfer this bad boy. We're going to get this rest of the stock out of here. I'm going to transfer this to the other stove so that we can focus on making the tortillas instead over here. And for this, guys, you could use a comal. You could even use a non-stick pan. You could use what I'm using, which is a carbon steel pan right here. Okay? And the key to this is to heat it up so slowly. If you use a high heat, you're going to end up with hot spots and cool spots, and it will not cook evenly. To heat up, especially carbon steel, especially cast iron, to heat it up evenly, guys, low, medium heat. Low, medium heat. It is the key. It is the trick to heat it up as slowly and as long as possible. You know those big griddles, when you go to the deli, when you go to the bodega, those massive griddles, those massive flat tops, they don't just turn it on and immediately cook on it, because food is going to stick to it with all the hot spots and the cool spots. You need it even. You need that gradient, guys. So low heat and let it go and let it do its thing right now. Okay? Exact temperature, I don't have for you. No. But the slower that you go, the more even it's going to be. All right? So important. I keep repeating myself, but I cannot overstate its importance. It is just that essential. It really is. Oh, everything is softening up beautifully inside of this pot, guys. That looks delicious. Okay, let's keep making the tortilla station. So, back with me, back over here. This is my steaming station. So once the tortilla comes out, it's going to go in here, and this is going to keep it warm, and it's going to keep it nice and flexible for today. Next, I'm gonna put that away. Let's go ahead and divide my masa into even balls, excuse me. This is it. Super simple 2-ingredient dough. That is why I love making this at home. Okay? There's no rolling, there's no kneading, there's no mess, there's no bench flour, there's none of that. Masa is done, masa is made. Okay, now let's go ahead and get it into even balls. I think this is gonna be roughly 8, maybe 6 tortillas today, depending. Is it just me, or is it kind of quiet? As in, is my microphone quiet? Or is it your own volume on your end, Foxy? Tell me. Okay. So, using my bench scraper, just to divvy it up. Divvy it up, and let's see the size of these. Am I satisfied? That's huge. That's huge. Now, would that be too small? I think it will be. It looks like Play-Doh, because I'm fairly certain this is what Play-Doh is made out of. I'm fairly certain Play-Doh is masa with a couple of other things added inside of it. If your Play-Doh ever gets dry, you just add in enough water. If it's too wet, you just let it dehydrate slightly. That's how Play-Doh works. Okay, we're doing this in 6ths is what I've decided. Okay, I'm going to get this ball as even as possible. We're making 6 tortillas today. There we go. Cut that now into thirds. Let's see how that come out. Good. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. Next, cut that into thirds. Cut that into thirds. Lovely. And now, guys, roll it up into a ball. Roll it up, roll it up, roll it up. And these are going to be each of my lovely tortillas for today. Slightly on the larger size, some of them. That's huge. That's like a golf ball. We have a bit of a difference. We have a bit of a discrepancy. We're going to take some of the extra dough away from the really big ones and donate to some of the smaller ones. We don't want to keep this exposed to the oxygen for too long, to the elements, because it'll just simply result. Okay, these are all nicely sized. This guy, you can donate to you probably. 6 tortillas. Is this a new setup? This is a new setup because I'm back to my mom's place. Chef, I didn't have corn flour. Can I substitute Play-Doh up to this point? Conceptually, you can do a lot of things. Okay, let's see. How am I looking? How am I feeling with this? That looks good. Okay, guys, keep it moist. Keep it moist. How? Wrap it up in a little plastic wrap and make sure it is not exposed to the air while we're making all of them. Okay? You do not want that. It won't be great. You've not been hydrating your masa enough? Well, there you go. These, I think, are perfectly hydrated. But everybody, the challenge today is going to be, will it puff? We'll have to find out. Okay, last step. We have, of course, my tortilla press. This is my beautiful tortilla press from Hacienda. Now, this, my friends, is essentially the equivalent of a cut-up shopping bag that was placed upon it. This is just a cut-up shopping bag. Really, really simple. Okay? Here's the order of operations. Tortilla, flatten. Next, in the hand it goes, and into the stove it goes, onto my flat top, onto my carbon steel pan or comal, whatever it is that you may have for yourself, okay? So, I forgot all of my timings from before. I forgot what temperature. Terrible. In fact, it's been so long since I've actually made one of these, I have to say. Okay, about 20 seconds per side on a medium heat. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll get it to a nice medium heat. So, everybody, 20 seconds on each side, and we'll put it back onto the side. Why is puffing it essential? If it puffs, even with no leavening agents, if it puffs, everybody, that means the inside is going to go ahead and get properly cooked through as the steam builds up. If it never actually puffs, then it'll be okay. Dara, what are the red lines? This is just the plastic bag from Hacienda themselves. Again, I keep sounding like I'm a shill for them. This just shows you the different size of the tortillas that you could make from it. It's just guidelines. Okay, so medium heat, my carbon steel is on at the moment. I'm going to be using, one of my favorite tools for the job is a fish spatula. When we put it on, we don't use a spatula, but when I go to flip it, this helps me to just get under it enough that I can pick it up. So, everybody, I'm really, really hoping that this goes okay today. We'll have to find out. So I'm just going back in really quickly, and I'm just stirring up my butternut squash. I'm making sure that it's all cooking up nice and evenly. This is the definitive moment. So, I don't have a good internal clock. I'm going to be simply using a timer for consistency. Everybody, tortilla goes on. Now, in my experience, what have I learned? You don't want to press this too quickly. You press it too quickly, and it doesn't actually come out all that evenly. So, right into the middle it goes. Put this on gently. And now, slowly. You don't want to completely flatten it. You don't want it too thin. You don't want it too thick. The exact measurements, guys, it just takes a little bit of time to figure it out for yourself. Okay? And then we give it a little rotation, and we just kiss the other side with a little bit more pressure. We flip it around, and we just tap it. Tap, tap, tap. Slight tap. Wonderful. Okay, that is a good looking tortilla for you today, my friends. So, the question is the following. Will it actually puff? Will it puff? 20 seconds per side. There's a lot of pressure on the line. There's a lot going on. I would like for this to come out well. I would like for this to be perfect. 20 seconds, flip, 20 seconds, put it back onto the first side, and then that's when we'll find out. Oh, I'm nervous. All right, we're peeling it open. Next, I'm taking it and I'm putting it onto my hand like so. Okay, it's on my hand, it's hanging like so. On it goes. Nice, flat, even contact. Timer on. That took about 2 seconds. So once my timer says 18 seconds, that's when I'm going in for the flip. And I'm staying close to it. I'm staying close. It shouldn't stick if you did this correctly. So let it go. Let it do its thing. Let it go. Let it go. I think my pan might have been too cold. 17, 18. We might go a little second longer because it was so cold. Okay. Okay, we got it first flip. 20 more seconds. When my timer says 483, that's when I'll go ahead and flip it back over to that first side. Guys, it's not sticking. Look how it glides. Look at that gliding. That's good. That's really good. That's good. Okay. Is it going to puff? Let's find out. We take a little towel. We're just going to slightly press those edges. Please puff. Please puff for me. Please puff. The edge, I can see the edge is puffing up slightly. Is the rest of it going to puff is the question. The edges, is that all that we got from this first one? Is that all I'm getting? Why are they pink? Because I'm using red masa. Okay, guys, no puffing on this first one. No puffing. Did I overcook it by the time it went on is the question. Maybe it'll puff up if I flip it to the second side. It sometimes does that. Sometimes. They're very finicky. They're very, very specific. That edge is puffing. That's nice. That's all that I got though. Tragic. Now, is the question, is it too hot or is it too cold? That's what I would like to know. At this stage, this is where it's like a little bit more difficult to overcook it, I think. So we can just kind of keep flipping it back and forth. But guys, we got mild puffing. But ideally, you want it to go boop. You want it to be like that. You think it's too cold? I might be inclined to agree. It did not look like we overcooked the sides. Okay, first one. Guys, we did the best job that we could with the first one. We have 5 more tries. We have 5 more tries. We have 5 more attempts. Let's do the next one. We're going to let it heat back up again. We're going to do slightly higher heat, 20 seconds, okay? Because if you get the right moisture, it seals the humidity. If it's too hot, it's going to simply dry out like nobody else. And then it won't be able to puff up because it's too rigid, right? There's a very good middle ground that you need to hit. So, back to this. Only 6 tortillas today. Not that many tries, not that many attempts. Okay, take it, press it down. Beautiful tortilla. Is it time? Everybody, is it time? We'll have to find out. Okay, tortilla. Take it. On your palm, just like so. And, come on, there we go, thank you. Okay, 23. So when it says 43, that's when I flip it, okay. I heard a better sizzle this time around. Maybe the heat does need to be higher. Okay, it's going, it's cooking, it's going, it's cooking. You think it's cold? It might be. It's been a while since I've, oh, hello. It might very well be too cold. We'll find out. Let's see. I think that second side didn't cook in time in those 20 seconds. Does that handle on the pan get hot? Only if you really put into an oven or something like that. I see a little bit of pressure rising up here. I think that second side got undercooked, I have to say. Simply judging by the looks of it right now. That first side got plenty of time. That's a lot of coloration for that amount of time. This one is just not gonna have any puffing whatsoever, will it? It happens. Such is the life of a tortilla, everybody. I'm really out of practice. It's been a while since I've done one. Those are all of my excuses for you guys today. I can see the middle coming up a little bit. Yeah, I think, okay, all right. What does that tell me? The second side did not cook long enough for this temperature. I think the first side was okay, but I don't think it built up a seal because it was slightly undercooked. All right. We're thinking, we're adapting, we're evolving, we're changing our methods. That looks a lot better now. The middle of it slightly began to puff up slightly. Is carbon steel the best type of pan for the job? Honestly, you can do this with a huge mixture of different pans. It's really more about getting comfortable with one kind of pan. This is the closest that we have to something like a comal. Okay? So, what did we learn? We did not cook it long enough on the second side. Everybody, are you with me? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. I want to make sure that you're all believing on me. Believing in me. Believing in me. Okay. Let's give it a little press. Let's press it out. Let's press it out. Let's press it out. Let's press it out. Okay. 90-degree rotation. Press it out. 180 actually. Just turn it around. Okay. So, once again, tortilla acquired. Start. That edge did not make full contact, but that's okay. It got on at 4, pick it up at 24. Okay. Nice. No contact on the pan. That was a better sizzle that time around. 23, 24. Okay. Leave that on. All right, guys. Let's take a break. Let's take some water, actually. No breaks, though. This might be it. This might be the one. Please. Yes. Yes. Look at that edge. Look at the edge. Look at the edge. Okay, it's not a full puff all the way through, but I was right. The second side needed more cook time, and you guys were right about the temperature. Look at the puff. Look at the puff. Look at it. That's a lot better, isn't it? I think that's a lot better. That is so much better. That is so much better. This guy, not so much though. But still, I don't care. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. That's good. That is such an improvement compared to what we've had before, my friends. That's a good puff. That's a good puff. That's a good puff. Okay, very, very, very pleased at the moment, I must say. Very pleased. Maybe a little bit too much color on that second side, but we got it. You see the idea, you see the vision. Cook it longer on that second side, my friends. That is what the vision is. That is what the idea is. And into the bowl it goes for it to, of course, steam. Bun hair is a cute look, by the way. Thank you, Calamari. I appreciate it. Okay, everybody, I'm seeing the vision now. You're all seeing it with me. So, we gotta be more gentle when we flip it. We don't wanna fold it in half like that when we flip it over. But I'm beginning to see the vision. I'm beginning to see the future. I'm seeing the light in real time. So, let's go ahead and do the next one. We have 3 more left. Very, very happy. Okay. Tortilla. On. Excellent. Plastic. Go. Take it. Flatten it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Rotation. Give it a little tap just to help make sure it's evenly flat. Okay. Guys, it's time for us to give this another pass. We're going to go again. Go next. Back to the stove. Reset my timer. Okay. Wonderful. Set timer. I'm very, very pleased at the moment, I must say. It'll take a second and then it will naturally unstick itself. Okay. and 20. Okay. Wonderful. 20 seconds. Really cook it on that side too. We don't go in too early. This side is the essential side. This is the side that needs to be the right level of humidity. Too dry, it cracks. Okay? So, let it go. Let it go. Let it go one more second. Okay. Is it going to puff? Is this going to puff? Oh no. Is it not puffing? I see the edge coming up. I see that edge coming up. What about this side? What about this side? Why are you not puffing? This side's not puffing. Only that edge is. Is it because it's too thick? Did I not press it down enough? Is that just the thinnest edge? How's the squash doing? Oh, she's just boiling away this whole time. This side, what's going on with you, man? Ah, what a disappointment. I might not have pressed it totally evenly. I might not have pressed it thin enough. In fact, I think is what could very well be going on. But no, wait, this side is the one that got a lot of color on it. So I don't know. The squash is doing excellent. It's getting nice and soft. It's stewing down. The walnuts are getting there too. Not quite. Not quite. I've always had this issue with only a half puffed tortilla. Okay. It might have to do with the way that I'm picking it up. We have 2 more chances. We have 2 more shots. Do we believe? Everybody, the question is, do we believe? Do you believe in me? 2 more to go. All right, let's find out. Roll it up. Nice ball. Yeah? I want to see that puff, my friends. I really, really need to see it. Okay. Let's go a touch thinner this time, yeah? Big tortilla. But we'll see how thinner does it. We're experimenting still, okay? It's a lot more delicate, it's a lot more fragile this way. So you gotta be careful. And start. Okay, on it goes. I think I'm also not pulling away fast enough, you know? I'm like going in really, really slowly when I layer it in. Okay. I didn't get full contact. That's interesting. I don't know why that happened. Oh gosh, I did not take note of what time I put it on. Oh well. Okay, well, I hope that's good. Please, please, I'm begging you. Guys, it's just my edge. It's only the edge of it that's actually ever puffing. The center of it never really gets there, and I don't know why. It's this edge. Maybe if I go back in and I cook it for a little bit longer on that side? Is that the thick end? Is that the thin end? I can't tell. Give that a second longer, go back in. I'm definitely not undercooking it at this stage anymore. In fact, I think I'm risking drying it out now. Do I have an infrared thermometer to see all the hot spots? That might very well be a possibility. I think that's more to do with my pressing and my placing technique, Tech Jansen. I think that's where this is coming from, if I'm honest. All right, guys, even if it doesn't get the perfect puff, guess what? It'll still be delicious. One last one. If this is the perfect one, I'll get a little bit upset about it. One last one. I need you all to believe. I need you all to be a part of this. Great stream. Well, I'm happy to provide you, Povi. Lovely to have you again. Okay. Get that side nice and flattened. Okay. One more. So, the key this time, I'm going to go as fast as possible putting this down. Hopefully that makes a difference. Because I think I was going way too slow before. I was going way too slow. And when you go way too slow, you don't get even good contact. So when I go ahead and I flip it as well, I'm going to go really, really, really fast, okay? That's going to be the trick to this today, I hope. No! The last one, I cracked it. Oh, everybody, this one might be Jovu. This one got cracked. Ah, it's not going to puff up now. A terrible tragedy has befallen us. Yeah, there's no way around it. Ah, what a tragedy too, because this was our last one. And it's not even close. It's cracked. All of the steam is going to escape it. There is no universe in which she even puffs up a little bit. Yeah. Oh well. Okay, we tried. Okay, we tried our best. We did what we could. Honestly, I have got to just find a Mexican grandmother to talk to about why my tortillas are not puffing. I'm good at all the... Never mind. I'm going to stop. Okay. Goodbye. You're done. I'm going to go ahead and put that into the steaming bowl. Dara low-key fell off. No, Godzilla's. I mean, yeah, I did kind of. Okay. Well, that's done. That's all said. That's done with. We got it to the best of our abilities, everybody. I'm just going to put it into my oven to cool this pan back down. Back to the butternut squash. Because this has been diligently going, diligently waiting for us all of this time. And I'm just going to scrape off any of the good stuff that is along the sides. It's getting flavorful. It's been getting nice and soft. And soon we're going to blend it down until it is velvety and nice and smooth. At the moment, the butternut squash is tender enough. The walnuts have cooked down in here as well. Everything is just about at a point where it can be blended. But before we even get to that, guys, I'm just scraping down the sides. I'm cleaning it up. And I'm also going to go ahead and put away the stuff we don't need. Like my tortilla press is all done with. I'm going to go ahead and store that safely away. The plastic bags I really should replace sometime soon. Come on. Thank you. In you go. The bowl I'm going to get rid of. The cutting board I'm going to keep because it is on that vessel that we will be shredding up the turkey for today. The bench scraper, I think I'll also be saving as well for the turkey. Okay, let's look at the tortillas. Let's look at the stack. Next time we can do even better, I hope. So guys, take a look. Here's my stack of tortillas. Still though, even if we messed up on a few of them, look at them. Look how beautiful they are. Look how pliable it is. We're keeping them in a bowl with a towel because this helps their flexibility. But guys, the ideal tortilla, when it's freshly made, you can't do this with a store-bought one. Look at that. Look at that. Look what you can do. Look what you can do. Look what you can do. Store-bought rubbery dry tortillas from the store, they can't do that like this one can, my friends. And that is the magic of making your own homemade ones. Better flavor, less additives, fresh, delicious. And the stale ones, you can do so much fun stuff with. You can make chips, you can make tostadas. You can just heat them up, you can make chilaquiles. You can do so much. Okay, so this guy, I'm gonna put him behind us and into the past. My turkey legs are just about there, my friends. My stew, I'm gonna go ahead and begin blending that down in a second. So, I wanna make sure that all of my ingredients have properly softened, okay? That they're at a point where they're ready to be blended, specifically the walnuts and the butternut squash itself. So, I'm going in and I'm using the moisture of the pot to essentially deglaze the sides. Anything and everything that is stuck to the sides is flavor. And you don't want to have to wash it off later. It's so much more of a hassle. You're just simply going to dissolve it right back into the water by just taking it all the way around and moving it around. Wonderful. Now, let's get an idea of how it tastes. Because I don't know how it tastes. We have not tasted it since we started cooking it. Let's give it a taste. Let's see how it is salinity-wise. Let's see how it is flavor-wise. That's good. That's very good. The spices are coming out. The butter, the chili a little bit. Everybody, I believe it's going to be blending time in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Vitamix. Everybody, really basic safety tips. I need to make sure that you're all listening to me right now because this is essential. Okay, if you do not have a fancy blender like mine, if you do not have a fancy Vitamix, okay? And you have something like a Ninja Bullet or the NutriBullet, the ones that have a screw on top, you need to let it cool down. If you have a stick blender, like an immersion blender, you can blend it hot. If you have an open top blender, something like this, where the top can come off, you can blend it when it is hot. You cannot blend hot things in a surface that is sealed, in a container that is sealed. So, I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab all of this good stuff, all of the walnuts, all of my components, all of my butternut squash, all of my onions, my garlic, my chilies, and my spices. And the walnuts, guys, honestly, a very nice benefit is I wanted a little bit of extra protein. I wanted some extra protein inside of my final dish today. And this is going to do exactly that for us. So, load it up. What do? We load it up. Wonderful. And then the rest of it, I'm just going to pour inside. Hello? Do I have space? I do, somewhat. Okay, and I'm gonna pour the rest of it inside. Excellent. Okay, that's ready to go. Now, safety. Once again, we're gonna put the top of it on, just like so. We're also gonna make sure I don't accidentally knock things over or anything. I'm going to make sure everything is nice and closed. Thank you very much. And I'm opening the top. Now, that does not mean that we have to blend this with an open top and everything is just going to go and get sent flying all over the place. The proper technique is the following. While it is blending, open top, towel, like so. This will catch anything coming out of it, but it's also not pressurizing it. It's not sealing the environment, so it's not going to build up pressure or anything as it blends. Okay, so that's ready. I'm going to plug in my blender, and you're going to see how quickly it's just able to get done and get ready to go for today. Can that reach? Can you reach is the question. To that outlet all the way over there, the answer is almost. Okay, wonderful. It is off, that is good. Wonderful. It is going to just go onto the variable speed. We're going to put it on while it is off, of course. Quickly take your towel so that you do not make a mess in your kitchen. And start it on the lowest speed. And slowly increment it. And I'll be ready. Not the best color. I want a more orange. Wow, that is a bad color. That is a nasty color, I have to say. Oh well. So, that looks nice, that looks smooth, that looks creamy, but I have to say, that might be one of the most hideous looking creamed soups, stews that I've ever done in all of my life, because that is a greenish brown, probably from the walnuts. I know I'm not really selling you guys on this. This is probably not something I can take a photo of after, but it is really, really, really velvety, and it is super, super smooth. And now, my friends, let's taste it. I want to taste it with all of the walnuts. I want to taste it with everything blended into it properly now. Give that a little taste. Oh, that is delicious. That is pretty incredible. I'm getting all the spices. I'm getting the chili. I'm getting the butternut squash. The flavor of this is pretty immaculate, I have to say. It is just the color of it that is not so appealing. Okay, I'll do. That'll do. That'll do. I will be okay with that. Okay. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and simply seal this off to just keep it nice and hot while we do everything else that we need to do, which is just going to be shredding up the turkey, and then we'll make the bowl, we'll make the portion, we'll have it all come together, and then it'll be perfect for today. Alas, it did not look exactly as appealing as I would have wanted it, but that is just a natural part of cooking. I guess that's maybe why people don't blend in walnuts into things. I think that is the walnut's fault. Oh well. I want to use up walnuts. And guys, as an example, this shows you how you can use things like nuts in things like cream soups. Next time you're doing a potato soup, next time you're doing, something like a butternut squash soup, a pumpkin soup. Yeah? It's a nice way to get some extra protein inside, and if you just have some nuts that you want to use up. Helps with the texture and really helps with the flavor as well. Okay, turkey, shred time. Back over here we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and shred up one of these turkey legs for you today. Get the skin of it off and get the meat of it nice and pulled apart. Does anybody have any questions for me at this stage? I'm a little upset about how it looks, I must say. I really wanted something visually striking. I wanted something bright orange, but instead I got maybe the worst shade of brown and green that I've ever cooked before. That's the walnuts, probably. Okay, so the turkey, as you guys can tell, it is super, super tender at this stage, right? We've let it cool down enough, and we've popped out the bones. Now, we have to get rid of these really, really thick tendons. As you guys know, on a turkey leg, these things are huge. What we can do is we can just go in there and just pull out the joint itself. And just pull out the joint, and then out goes all of the bones with it as well. You can just see the meat coming off of it. I'm holding the joint. The meat is coming off. The meat is coming off. Okay? And this stuff, I'm of course just going to be really quickly discarding. Okay, this is still not done with its processing, guys. There's a whole lot more stuff that we still got to clean up in here. Look at these tendons. Look at that. Nobody wants to eat that. It is tough. It is chewy. It is unpleasant to the bite. We want to be super, super meticulous with this. Okay, we don't want to leave any of these tendons behind. This is not stuff that you want to be eating. This is not stuff that you want to be eating. Okay, you just want a nice pile of shredded, tender turkey meat. Okay? When you have guests especially, guys, you want to give them a nice mouthful of something tasty. You don't want to give them bones. You don't want to give them any connective tissue. You don't want to give them any gummy skin. Make it a nice experience for them. Okay? Make it nice. Okay? This guy is just going to be falling apart. And I'm just getting rid of any gummy skin that I can find. I'm just going to be shredding this up now into some nice little pieces. There you go, there you go, there you go. Beautiful. And then we're using our thumbs and we're feeling this as it goes. Guys, look how nice and easily all that meat shreds up as long as you cook it long enough. Nice tender turkey. All the way through. And as for the taste of it, it's going to be quite bland until it goes into the stew itself. And I'm just going to do a nice little pile of the turkey meat. But this makes so much meat. Oh my gosh. I forgot how much meat turkeys have on those legs. Okay. Yeah. Lovely. Lovely. And I like it nice and shredded up like this because it's able to really, really soak it up. Okay. That's one downside of stewing the turkey, no crispy skin. That's right, Godzilla's, you're right. That's a bit of a tragedy that we get to miss out on that. But oftentimes roast turkey skin, it's so like tough and gummy and chewy, I find, more than anything. Not the ones I make at least, but I mean most people's houses. Okay. So, I love the stickiness of shredded like turkey leg meat. Something I grew up eating a lot. My grandmother would just make a lot of like turkey broth when I was like a kid, like really, really simple, bland food, but quite nostalgic in its own way too. Ooh, that's a tendon that we missed out on before. Come on, buddy. With me you go. And going away it will. Okay. Smush it up. Smush it up. Break it up. Break it up. Break it up. And I'm going to get that skin gone as well. Okay. That is a pile of shredded turkey meat. That did the job. Guys, Brace yourselves for perhaps one of the ugliest plates I think that I've ever done on the history of this channel. Is it going to be delicious? Yeah. But is it going to look nice? No, I don't think so. But brace yourselves, please and thank you. Okay. Turkey meat, I'm going to go ahead and put it aside. We're going to assemble everything. All of my components are done, and I'm going to serve it all with a nice properly stack of tortillas. Oh my God, that is so much turkey. Guys, I should do like a turkey tinga at some point, because this yield from it is amazing, and it's so much easier to get the tendons out of it when it's that big. I should cook with turkey legs more often. Okay, I'm not going to do my whole like, oh, buy a whole turkey, whatnot shtick. I'm not going to do all that, but okay. Epicurean cutting board. It is a wooden cutting board that is, of course, dishwasher safe. So to the dishwasher it goes. This is not going to be an attractive plate. I apologize in advance once again. Please do not make fun of me for it. I'm sorry. I know it's our first stream back, and I'm supposed to come in with a bang, but alas, I don't think we got so lucky today. So, what does that tell me in the future? Walnuts, cooking it down, blending it into something, not the world's most attractive color, but that's okay. So, in she goes. Nice little pile of that goes in. Nice little pile of turkey meat right on top. And I'm just going to serve it. Oh no. Guys, this plate is horrible. Hold on. I'm going to first do this without you guys looking at it. That is the worst plate I've ever made in my life. That looks horrible. That looks good. That means it's going to taste good. But with the turkey on top of it like that, this does not have exactly the visual oomph of what I'm looking for. I don't know what to do with that. I don't want to show you guys. I'm going to immediately dig into it is what's going to happen. I'm going to mix it up for you. Show us? Is that what the people want? It's not a good looking plate. I'm not being like, ooh, teehee, it's not good. It looks bad. I've made really good food before that looks bad. Like, you guys suck. Fine, I'll show you in a second, okay? I'm not like being like self-deprecating here. I know, guys, I make really delicious food. I just know, why am I so insecure about this? Like my heart rate is accelerating. Oh my God, what have I done? All right, a little stack of tortillas as well to go alongside it. These colors, not doing it today. I wanted something more bright orangey, I suppose. Fine, whatever. I don't have a garnish for it. It's just supposed to be really simple. It's supposed to be 2 components. All right, I'm coping. I'm working up the strength. Right? If somebody clips this, I will literally ban you. I will do it. It's a pile of turkey and it's tortillas. And it doesn't look like a lot, but we did everything here ourselves. Okay? And so sometimes I just want to take a little tortilla and I want to be able to dip it in. I want to eat it like that. Together, that's really delicious. But you can't ban us all. Watch me, Jim. Okay. It looks more orange on stream, to be fair. Great, it's beautiful. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate all of the loving support. That is very delicious, though. Okay. I know it doesn't look all that appealing, but it's really, really good. So, enough downplaying. Homemade tortillas. Red masa. Nice and flexible, beautiful, nice and steamed all the way through. Look at that, homemade tortillas. I know a little garnish would make it pop, but I don't have it. I don't have a garnish. So, what did I make here? It is inspired by both a mole and a butternut squash soup and a curry. We have made a homemade turkey stock. We fried cumin, we fried coriander seeds and cinnamon, and we ground it down with thyme and oregano. We fried onions, we fried ancho chili, we added garlic, we added in butternut squash, we added walnuts, the homemade turkey stock. Okay, as well as all of those lovely spices. We blended it all up and we added some shredded turkey on top. And it's flavorful and it's silky. It's super, super smooth. It's warm. It's not particularly spicy because, again, it was just an ancho chili that I used. I could have used quite a few more of them, I think. But it has a lot of depth, it has a lot of complexity, it has a lot of sweetness from the onion, it has a lot of sweetness from the butternut squash itself. It's really, really silky. So the things that I showed you today, everybody, these fundamentals show you how easy and how versatile it is to make a butternut squash soup. Butternut squash soups, any kind of pumpkin soup, any kind of root vegetable soup. It's onion, it's oil, it's spices. You add it in, you blend it. You don't even need that much fat. You don't even need to finish it with heavy cream if you don't want to. It's really silky, it's very velvety, it's very luxurious, and it's super, super delicious. So, guess what? That's it. I think we're done for today. That was the show. I'm very happy with how that came out taste-wise. Next time we'll try to do something a little bit more visually appealing. I should have thought about my colors a little bit more going into this. So, everybody, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Final questions will be now. Final thoughts, final feelings, final concerns. So what is the future of the cooking show? Once again, we have changed our schedule to once a week. Previously, we were doing it 3 times a week. Now we're going to once a week. I want to really focus on improving the quality. I want to make the camera look nicer. I want to make the setup look better. I want to have better scenes and everything. So hopefully over the course of 2025, it's just going to go up and up and up and up. If you'd like to support the show, !Patreon. All of the proceeds of that are going back into the stream, especially because my food costs are lower. I'm not going to be cooking as much. So all of that will be like going towards investing into better and better equipment. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. I'm going to go ahead and see you guys next week at 5 p.m. EST every single week, indefinitely. Join the Discord if you haven't already done so. Thank you, Dosky, for all the gifts and subs before. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being for the great return. Next time, we will do something that looks a little bit nicer. Great food. Thank you, Mitzi. Bye-bye. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry for being so insecure about it. I just want my food to look nice. Okay, that's enough. Goodbye. Thanks for being here.